Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner,
Go,
Lucas,
boy.
and Mike. We got another packed show for you guys. And Lucas, he's dealing with some internet issues.
That man's frozen again. What are we doing?
I'm not going to stress about it. He'll be back.
He'll be
back. He'll be back. It's funny enough, Mike sent me that clip, a Family Guy, where it's like him, it was Peter, Quagmire, Joe, and Cleveland doing like the virtual. They were like all four.
I didn't watch it.
And it's like Cleveland keeps like lagging out. It reminds me a lot of what we do here with like Lucas lagging out. But regardless,
I can't wait until we get a studio, man. Like I cannot wait until we get the studio set up.
That's we're talking long term. Booner, you're spot on. We're gonna have a studio. Hopefully we can get this thing more of a professional layout. But right now, hey, we're here. The people are here. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe, like the stream, show love like you guys always do a good job at doing. If you're on Facebook, give us a follow. And if you're not on Facebook, but you do have a Facebook, we do have a Facebook page, which we're live on as well. So you can follow Crunch Time with Jeff Iafrate and Booner, and we're there as well. But Boone, you got a haircut. You're looking good. How are we feeling today?
I feel good. Feel great. Feel great today. Little bit of a long day at work, but I'm ready to roll. I just want to talk some ball here. Getting what is it called? Getting the sanctuary here. Talk ball with the boys, man. Talk to the people in the chat that are watching. We've got a lot of people here watching right now. I appreciate you guys all tuning in as always. Ready to roll though. We've got a packed show.
Yeah,
shout out ETN.
Of course, as always. Welcome back, Lucas, my guy.
Shout out.
Look at Klotz is back. The ball nowhere. By the way, we'll be going through some a prospect later in the show. It's just the ball nowhere approved. Mohamed Kamara. And he's going to be breaking them down a little bit more in detail here. But until then, we got a special show. Again? Yeah, we got a special show planned for today. Vincent Ellison, ETN, Anakin Skyogre, Shift God, all the guys. Man, Mr. Steve, he's tuning in as well.
Shout out Steve, man.
Flick Story, everybody, man, for Phil as well. The regulars. What's up?
Real quick, I wanted to throw it out there. Obviously, what happened in Kansas City today. Just want to say, like, prayers up to all those families, everything. Kansas City, the city. That's just one of the more brutal things. Like, the parade was awesome to watch. Right before it all happened, I was watching the videos of Travis Kelce up there, like, just mumbling. The city is just absolutely packed. It's brutal. Like when stuff like that happens, man, it's sad to see because it was such a nice day in Kansas City, like a whole city coming together. And then, and I think more reports just keep coming out about it. So prayers up to all of them, man, and that the whole city, the families, everyone that was involved and impacted from that, man. Brutal.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought it up because that's how I wanted to start the show. So it's great. It's great you already did it because it's so unfortunate that even like, it's just, I don't want to say normalized, but it's just kind of like, this is what happens, man. Like, it's unfortunate. It's terrible. And even at a parade celebrating a championship, there's thousands and thousands of people at this parade, players, media, like all types. And it's just the last place you'd expect something like that to happen. A place filled with so much celebration. Joy. Yeah, a place filled with so much joy turns into horror and terror. It's unfortunate. Like, you just can't go out anywhere, it seems like. I mean,
it's tough, man. Hopefully everyone recovers from that. I know there's a couple people who passed, but
yeah, I mean, even Michigan State. I mean, the Michigan State stuff, like, it's just it's terrible.
I've told this story a couple of times. When I was in college, there was a shooting at a outdoor party that I was at, and it was a big deal. Like, that stuff is just there's no room for it, and it's crazy that it happened. In a day like today. So
yeah, I mean, I know I saw Holmes tweet out, a lot of Chiefs players tweet out. Prayers are with Kansas City. I mean, even us, a Detroit-based company. Media outlet. Man. I mean, prayers up to all those people. It's just absolutely terrible. I will say this though, man. Like, we're going to be talking about some Lions rumors, like we do every show. Something that comes across my timeline that's intriguing. We're going to talk a little about the Khalil Mack stuff at some point and just talk about how realistic it is. And I got thoughts on why I think the Lions won't have to give up anything and still acquire that type of player. So and I'm sure you'll be in lockstep with me there, Booner. But to kind of start the show, I wanted to bring up something that's kind of breaking. Like it kind of just happened. And
it's crazy.
Shams tweeted it out. And Sean Murphy hit me up immediately. Shout out to Sean, by the way, from Half Court. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe. But he hit me up immediately, and he's like, "Man, like what?" And here's the report officially, and I'll just read this for everybody that hasn't heard about it. Shams put out both Stewart. I'll read the original tweet. So it says, sources: Detroit Lions /center Isaiah Stewart punched Phoenix's Drew Eubanks in the back tunnels of the Suns Arena today. It is it's unclear what sparked the altercation. The NBA is expected to receive footage to review. More to come. And he had a follow-up tweet that both Stewart and Eubanks were going chest to chest before a swing to Eubanks' face connected on Wednesday. Sources said both were separated and there was police presence involved with the situation in Phoenix tonight.
Oh my gosh, man.
Okay. Well, this is okay. There's a couple different ways to approach this, right? Like it's not. And Luke, here's the ball, Noah. You doing good? You good?
Hold on.
I think he said he messaged us that don't add him in when he's just trying to figure it out.
All right, it's all good. But I want to speak on this real quick about Isaiah Stewart. Like, I don't approve of violence. I don't approve of it. I don't know what the situation was. I don't want to speak on what I know or what I don't know because I don't know what happened. I don't know what was said. I don't know what words were exchanged or how this started. But Isaiah Stewart, that is the last man you want to test. All right. He stands on business, Booner. We saw this against LeBron in Little Caesars. Yes. And there was the announcer came over and said, "Hey, please remain in your seats." Basically, we don't want another malice at the palace. But I kind of like that. I
don't hate it, dude.
I don't love it, but Isaiah Stewart, he stands on business. And I appreciate that. He's kind of not that there's enforcers in basketball anmeanymore, but if there were one, it'd be Isaiah Stewart.
Beef Stew. No, yeah. Obviously, we don't know the details of everything that happened. So if stuff comes out, we might look stupid if we're like, oh yeah, go Beef Stew. Don't want to be that guy, but I'm kind of with you on the side to where I do it's like the bad boys kind of era. Last year, someone Lions fan 222 said Ben Wallace 2.0. That's what it is. And there's a lot of people in the NBA. To be honest, you see they're like Draymond. Draymond's about it, and a lot of people don't like him. But I mean, I'm a fan of Draymond, and I know sometimes he does go over the top and hurts his team with suspensions and things like that. But when he's out there, he's affecting the game in a positive way when it comes to put your foot down. I'm not I'm an enforcer, and it helps the game. He's won championships being an enforcer. So with Beef Stew, I was at that Lakers game where he went at LeBron, and seeing that in person, I was there. I had season tickets at the time, and I happened to go to that game that night. And just being there, seeing it in person, seeing Beef Stew just out there, just he's about it. He is a dog, and no one wants to mess with him. And I think when he was doing that, at least from my perspective, there were people out there that were like, "Hey, Brian," telling people, "Hey, don't mess with him." And now after that, he kind of earned respect. But I think at the end of the day, it's there are a lot of players in this league who are all about talk, and Beef Stew's a guy who's about to talk, and he backs it up. And it's one of those things where you see a lot of guys always go, "Meet me in the tunnel," let's go. To me, it seems like it might have been a situation to where it was like, "Hey, meet me in the tunnel," and in the warm-ups or something, and they went back there, and he was about it, and Beef Stew kind of stood on business there. So I don't hate it. I wish it was more so hey, take that to the court and use that energy on the court and go win a game, but don't hate it.
Yeah, he I can say this, I know a lot about Isaiah just from when he first got to Detroit and kind of where he came from with Washington, because I've been following him. He almost committed to MSU. And so I was kind of following him even when he was in high school, because I like checking out high school guys and guys that are upcoming. And Isaiah Stewart was one of those guys. I mean, he grew up in Rochester, New York, man. Rochester, New York, for people that don't know, is has one of the highest crime rates for its size in the U.S. So where he comes from, he doesn't play games. There's no games being played. So the NBA. And a lot of the players in the NBA, it seems like everyone is a tough guy because they know it's going to be broken up. The refs are going to break it up. It's you stand on bit. Isaiah Stewart will actually meet you outside. He's not afraid of smoke. And that's why I like that. I do. I like it, but now,
use it to win games. That's where I'm at.
Hold on. I'll get to the next part of this because you are right, Booner. But I will say, for a young team to have a guy like this with that type of mentality, I don't mind it. Now, Booner, where you're spot on, it could get you in trouble. Now, Sean Murphy's hitting me up, and I always rely on him for a lot of the insights because he's great. I mean, he texted me earlier, and he said apparently police are involved. Footage is being sent to the league. He says if it's bad, I could see Stu being suspended for the rest of the season. And then there was another tweet that just got put out, and it was basically a sucker punch, and security had to get intervened. So I don't know what the punishment's going to be. I don't know if it'll be the whole season. I don't know. But that's where you're right, Boone. Like there comes a point where like you're hurting the team. I get that.
It's just like I love the physical. I love all of that. Like I love the talk. It's just hey, use that on the court at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I get maybe there was something said and something that happened that we don't know about that set that off. Because typically when a sucker punch or something like that happens, it gets something was said that's pretty serious. Like people just don't go out and punch. Like it said something about his family or like something like that, and it got so like I could see there's something to it. But obviously at the end of the day, you do have to control your emotions. Like off the court, like you can't be doing that stuff. And I I think we agree. I love I love being tough, being like a Ben Wallace, being like a Ron Artest, like a Draymond. I love that. But let's not be in the back doing that to people to where you can get suspended for the whole season. Like
especially Drew Eubanks. He's like the most random white
just
dude in the NBA. Like just
set a hard screen on him during the game or something. I don't know, but like
he's just a nobody. Like and I hate to use that, but it's maybe a little aggressive, but he is kind of a nobody. Like he's most random. Like when I saw Isaiah Stewart get in a fight, I'm like, who? And I see Drew Eubanks, and I'm like,
do you want to? Okay, thought about this real quick. Do you want to know what's
LeBron and then Drew Eubanks? But
do you want to know where this really hurts the Pistons? It's not that he's going to be off the court. It's that the trade deadline's coming up, and if he can't play the rest of the season, he has no trade value.
Okay, see how you.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
He's got no trade value if he's suspended for the whole season. What are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
Oh, did the trade deadline pass? Oh, okay. Never mind.
I think
hand up.
The
trade deadline wasn't that good this year. It wasn't the best.
He's in to defend Booner. He's joking because he wants to trade Isaiah Stewart. So like, there's that joke there. All right,
let that man walk.
So that's where the joke is. I get what you
forgot about the trade deadline though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that already passed.
It was like the worst trade deadline of all time.
Yeah, it wasn't as it typically is. I'll tell you that. It was kind of quiet, but I think it has to do with the new NBA, man. Like how they're punishing teams for being over the cap and everything like that. Like teams are a lot more skeptical to make big moves that could hurt them, long term. But
it's you know why I thought that real quick. Who's the Brian Windhorst? I saw a clip of him today talking about LeBron playing with Curry, and then he did like his little intro. I don't know if you saw this, and then he paused for like 5 seconds. It was like for Team USA. So he like tried to get people, and then in my head I was thinking like, can LeBron still get traded? I thought like it was over. So
yeah, no, it's over. And until the offseason, of course, never know, I guess. But at that point, he wouldn't be suspended.
I guess has made a bunch of moves. I don't know why I thought that.
I mean, they made moves. And I like Simone. I do. Fettuccine.
Simone Biles?
No, he's no Simone Biles. I'll tell you that. He's no Simone Biles. But I do want to shift the conversation to the Lions because, listen, we're getting in this new era of Lions football. Guys are being hired. Guys are being pulled away. Hey, congratulations. You have a good football team. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's what comes with it. We didn't ask for it, but we also asked for it. So this is what's going to happen. And you know how I talk a lot about, too, Boone, about how teams favor offensive-minded coaches because at the end of the day, if they hire your coordinators, you still get the guy. You still have the guy.
Yep.
This is kind of how I felt about this news. And I don't want to chalk it up as like a nothing burger because it's definitely important. I'll read the tweet here. Ian Rappaport put out sources. Commanders GM Adam Peters is hiring Lions Senior Director of Player Personnel Lance Newmark as the new assistant GM, a longtime respected scout in Detroit. Newmark was instrumental in building the Lions. Newmark hopes to help remodel Washington in a similar fashion. And then he also quote tweeted that and put more Commanders news. Former GM Martin Mayhew is transitioning to a new role as he'll be the senior personnel executive and advisor to the GM Adam Peters. The two will have a strong relationship for the 49ers, and that remains. So This is more on a guy like not Adam Peters, Lance Newmark, who's a senior director of player personnel. And the reason why this is, and I don't want to chalk it up, Booner, as like insignificant, because there's also reports, and I saw this on Twitter. I think it was Lions Fan Report that put this out, but Lance was a big part in pushing for Kirby Joseph.
I did see that. I heard that.
I read. So again, like this, at the end of the day, you're going to lose guys. Like I know Mike Disner, another one that has been interviewed, and the teams are looking at him because he's an up and coming guy. He's in the front office as well. But at the end of the day, Booner, you got the chef. Like you got the guy. Like no offense to these guys, and they're I bet they're fine. They're smart individuals. But you still got Brad Holmes. Is all that matters.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're just being honest here, I don't even know his name, to be honest. I mean, he's been here
Lance
for 20
Newmark.
years. Yeah, and I've never really heard of him, and I've been doing this for a couple of years now. Like and he's been here for what, 26 years, I think it was, or 25 years. He's been with the Detroit Lions, so he's obviously had like a touch on the franchise, and has been able to help out a lot for them to keep him around that long. But at the end of the day, my first thought when I saw 25 years is like, hey, like we just got good. Like he was here for 20 years, and what did he bring? And at the end of the day, you just have Brad Holmes is the factor there. That Brad Holmes came in and he changed everything, and Lance just happened to be here for the last 20 something years, and now he's with Brad. So I get it. Like these guys are getting jobs and everything. I think, like you said, though, as long as you have the chef with Brad Holmes staying, I don't think any of it matters. Like if they want to take those guys who were here when we were losing for 20 years, be my guest. That means, guess what? Brad now is going to bring more of another one of his own guys in. That's how I look at it. And that's just personally. That has nothing to do with Lance. Like I'm sure for 25 years he was great here. And I get the Kirby thing as well. Like if he had something to do with Kirby, like cool. Like that's a one guy. Brad has been the cook in the kitchen, as you say, like the chef. So like, go ahead. He can leave. Now, Brad, guess what? He's bringing in his own guy to take that position. I like that. He's going to be able to make that decision. Someone who's been here for 20 years, now he can replace him with his own guy. Shout out to Lance, though.
Yeah, you know what? Shout out to Lance.
Shout out Lance.
To your point about being here for 20 plus years, and I don't mean any disrespect by this, but the last time we saw Mayhew and Lance together, Ebron was taking over Aaron Donald. So like, let's like relax on when Brad got here, now we're giving all the like he was an advocate for Kirby Joseph. Awesome. If I attempted, what was he here for? How long was he? I just want to double check.
25, I think. Or 26.
Yeah, like 25, 26. If I attempted 25, 26 half court shots, you think I can make one? Like I probably could.
I mean, the Kirby thing, he was probably working with Brad on that anyways. Like working with some of these scouts and stuff.
And then this isn't going to be like a slander Lance Newmark, but I don't think this is as significant because you still have the guy. And like you said, I think Brad is not only a great talent evaluator, but he's a good people reader. He knows people. Yep. He's good at that. Like he knows, and the guys he's brought in to help him, and the guys he surrounded him with, like Ray Agnew, look at him. Like he's an assistant GM, and he's getting interviews. Like Brad has an eye for finding the right individual, and I think he'll do the same thing. So
I think,
but the Commanders, they're really trying to get. They saw the Ben Johnson stuff when they first found out about it, and they said, "I'm leaving here with something. They're trying with something. I got Lance Newmark."
They've brought on a lot of people the last couple of days, the Commanders have, and they've actually brought on some names. And I think some people like at first when they started kind of getting Dan Quinn and kind of doing that, I was a little like, oh, what's going on? But then they started bringing in some new dudes, and I've been a little shocked. I can't get over this. 26 years, and he was here for the 16 years. So like all right, I'm gonna say this. Tell me guys in the chat, Jeff. Tell me if this is bad. I think this might end up being an upgrade because he's a guy who's been here, and he was tenured in this organization when Brad got here. He was here for 20 plus years, so obviously it's probably not someone that he could just go to Sheila and say, hey, we want some of these guys out. And he probably worked really close with some of them still, and they probably were good at their job, and that's why they just got a new job. But there is a side of it to where when you're a GM, you want to be working with your guys, and he wasn't his guy. Like he was already here. Some of these guys were already here. So Brad's going to be able to go up there and go upgrade that spot. To me, he probably had a good relationship with him. Did he get a better position when he left, Lance?
Yes.
What's the new? Okay,
Yeah,
because in my opinion, it's like, why would he leave here about to win a Super Bowl to just go to the Commanders and build that? And you've been here for 25 years. That makes me feel like a little bit. Maybe they were like, hey, we kind of want him out a little bit, but I could be wrong with that. Lucas, are you good?
I don't know, but I just smoked a little bit. I said a prayer to Louis Riddick. We're here while we got me. That's all I can. I
think you're good.
I'm digging a hole in my yard and popping a hole in the siding of my house and running an Ethernet cord. I don't care if it's the last thing I do tomorrow. But this is making it's like my computer wants to work. The Wi-Fi wants to work until I need it to. And then it just says, yeah, you know what? We're going to pull a Jimmy Garoppolo in the playoffs. That's what we're going to do. Just not show up. Not show up when we need you the most. You do all this work, and then when the lights come on and they're the brightest, you're just not there.
You're talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson? Or who are you talking about?
My Wi-Fi.
Oh, Sam.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. You were just on the other train yesterday.
I'm still on. I want him back. I was just trying to think of someone who had a bad playoff performance. CJ did it.
Is Eduardo off here? Is that fair or unfair?
Lucas had his 3 pumps.
He's back, baby.
His internet was out. Meanwhile, hey, his internet was acting up. He was actually at the massage parlor down the street for the last 15 minutes.
Come on.
Hey, if I'm spending money, I better get my 30 minutes to an hour's worth. I'm not getting lowballed here. That's not how we do that.
Yeah.
Massage first.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. We were just talking about the Commanders bringing in Lance Newmark, the director of player personnel for the Lions, or director of I think it was player personnel, could be scouting, whatever it was. But basically, the Commanders plucking a guy from the Lions front office. So we were just kind of talking about that. How it's like, you know what, the guy's been here for 25 plus years, like sayonara. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think someone tweeted out he had a hand in taking Kirby. And he's been here for like 20 something years. And I said, Lucas, if he was there last time in May, he was back with the Commanders, or he's like in a different role. I said, the last time this guy, Lance Newmark, and Mayhew worked together, they took Ebron over Aaron Donald. Like, have fun in Washington. Like,
you can just start there. There's many more.
Yeah.
If there's somebody in the front office outside of Chris Spielman, and I'm sure I'm going to be missing a couple of other ones that are obvious, but if you're part of that old Lions regime, get the hell out of here. With all due respect, go make some great money. Just not in Detroit. You've done your time here, but you just haven't amounted to anything unless Brad Holmes is there. As long as Brad Holmes is there, this front office for the majority will be just fine. Just fine.
Did you see this? Steve Wilkes get fired from the 49ers?
I've seen two sides
of this. Yeah, I could
have
told you that one.
Yeah, well, I've seen 2 sides of it. That like he obviously he held the Chiefs under 20 points, and the offense was the one that didn't really put points up. But obviously, you're going against the Chiefs defense. I just think it this is the conversation I think we've had, and me and Lucas have kind of been on the same side with this, to where it's like, hey, Shanahan has gotten to this game twice now, and he's been in the NFC Championship game 5 times now, and they just haven't gotten the job done. And they're not going to fire Kyle Shanahan. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Someone, and this is just the way the business works, someone has to fall on the sword and take the bullet. You have to change something up. Like, whether you think it's not Kyle Shanahan, he's the head coach, he's one of the best in the league. It's just someone has to kind of take that bullet, in my opinion, and I think it ended up being him. And I get the thing, like people are saying AG. The thing is like AG's been building with the Detroit Lions. We haven't gone to 5 NFC Championship games and just keep falling short. Like, if that kept happening and it was on our defense a little bit, like, I think that's what you would probably see as Dan make a move, because Dan's made moves, fellas. Dan has made moves, and he's made very good moves and fired people at the right time. So I think this is someone had to fall on the sword with this, and it ended up being the DC over there. And it's tough, but like, that's the business we're in, man.
Boone, you're spot on. Like, that's a great take, because I agree. I mean, that's, I don't have nothing to add to that. I think the other thing too with and the differences, and you kind of nailed it also with the AG comparison. And Lucas, like, we talked about this like a ton, and we're kind of on the same page too. Like, the personnel, like, you can't, that's like apples to oranges. Like, even though I agree Steve Wilkes was a scapegoat, you can't compare like AG with what he has compared to what the 49ers have. And quickly, I'll note this: the defense and overtime, Patrick Holmes, they just cut their way up the field in overtime. I get that, but like in regulation, defense wasn't bad. Like, that was a defensive game. So
it was a huge defensive game. One of the best we've ever seen.
Like, I think Boone nailed it. Like, Lucas, someone had to get fired. they wanted blood, and they handed him Steve Wilks, which is unfortunate. But he'll be back in the league. Someone will hire him. I mean,
yeah, Wilks he'll be a defensive coordinator somewhere in the league. I don't think they wanted to give Purdy another offensive coordinator, but Booner, you're spot on. Accountability needed to be held. Now, when you add into the count that if Dre Greenlaw finishes that Super Bowl, that we could be having a very different conversation about the way that game goes. Not to mention Hufanga got hurt in the season early on. I understand that injuries happen. But when you're a team like the 49ers, who every week you have to be your A game because every team knows who you are. They know you're the number one guy in the NFC, and you lose key players on the defensive side of the ball, and then teams start to exploit that, especially in the secondary. I mean, yeah, I would say the secondary and the defense were kind of their weakness throughout the season, but Wilks is still a great defensive mind.
Just saw something, and I thought of this real quick. Someone said, who's going to replace him? And this just made me think of something else. Another reason he could have been let go, and let's just be completely honest here, fellas. Think about the defensive coordinators that are potential that could be out there. Rex Ryan, Mike Vrabel, Ron Rivera. Like, there are dudes out there right now that you're like, okay, where do we need to up? Yeah, like, where do we need to upgrade in our staff right now? And you go like, okay, wait, maybe DC, we could maybe take another step forward. Like, obviously we had a good defense, but maybe that's like their offense wasn't their weakness at all this season. I think if you had to pick one little, like, they were such a good team, but if you had to pick one thing out, look at what the Lions did to them. Like, that defense at points did collapse and it had lapses for sure. And that 3-game losing streak as well. So, like, if you had to look at it, and I think that's where kind of Shanahan and they looked at it and they said, it has to be this. Like, we have to do something. It's going to be the DC. And then they probably, before they made that decision, they said, if we do this, who do we have out there? And they go, well, Rex Ryan just interviewed for the Dallas job, so he's interested in coaching.
I hope he doesn't go Vrabel,
there. Rex Ryan's he would be a great DC.
No, I agree. That's why I don't want to go there.
I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, because he's going to be good there. He's going to make that defense good. Same with Mike Vrabel or Mike or Don Rivera. Like, dude, there are dudes out there, and they probably looked at the sheet and went, all right, boys, we're upgrading at DC. Like, we're gonna make an upgrade here, and that's exactly what's gonna happen. Well, they're gonna upgrade at that spot.
And you look at previous 49ers defensive coordinators, like Robert Saleh, head coach, D'Amico Ryans, head coach. Like, so if Kyle, I agree that he had to fall on the sword, but there's also things we don't know, like that's happening behind the scenes. Like, I don't know how Kyle feels about Steve. I don't know what kind of coach Steve is personally. So I think there was some reason, but also at the same time, it's like, hey, we got to fire somebody. Kyle, he runs the offense. The offense is never to blame. That's just how it's going to be. And they fire Steve Wilks. But to AG, the year is this year. Like, you're going to get an answer about AG this year. You'll have a better personnel. If he doesn't trot out a 10 to 12 ranked defense in the NFL, like, we can have that conversation. Like, then the conversation is AG keeping this defense? Is he holding them back versus does he have enough to work with? I think he'll have enough to work with this year to where that argument is, the argument I would bring up, I brought up this year is, he doesn't have all the pieces. Like, you got to give him time. He's going to have the pieces. So that excuse will not work. It will not be valid this season. So if they're a top 20 defense, get him out of here, ship him out. I mean, hell, I'll pitch in for his plane ticket. I just get him out of here. And then you could replace him. But until then, no, like, he's safe. His job is safe until this upcoming season. And again, to the type of guy Dan is, if it was for him to fire AG mid-season, it would have to be so egregious. Like the defense would have to just look absolutely awful. Like, that's just the only way I see it. And then if that happens, then of course your guy, Lukas Klotz, Calvin Shepard, kind of scoots right up into that DC role. But until then, no, this is the year, this upcoming season. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, we kind of already talked about it before, but people talk about Aaron Glenn's scheme. You have a basic understanding of what he's trying to do, but we have not seen, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I think, to your point, it's a personnel issue. And I think that's majority a personnel issue, especially when you're playing a pass-happy league and you have a bad secondary and pass rush. It depends on how Aiden Hutchinson's doing that game. We haven't seen Aaron Glenn be able to do the things that Aaron Glenn wants to do yet. When you go look at the Steve Spagnuolas, the prominent defensive coordinators in the league, the D'Amico Ryans, before he's head coach, they have the weapons to do what they want to do. The Dan Quinn in Dallas Aaron Glenn is not in that position. So if they go up there and they revamp this defense, that's when you can have it. Take the glasses off, rub them one more time, put them back on. Look at Aaron Glenn, in my opinion. I don't think it's fair to judge what he's done yet. You can see the good, you can see the bad, realize what it is, but I don't think as an overall judgment, it's not right yet.
Yeah, and he still has control of the locker room, which I think matters. Like once players check out, then it's like DEFCON 5. Somebody has to like go. Like that's how that works. And at least say what you want about scheme and the secondary and whatever. The players have always bought in, and they've been bought in. So the coach's point there, I mean, that's not you're not keeping coaches because players like them, but that's part of it. Definitely, it's part of it. You'd be lying if you said it wasn't. So that at least you have the players backing them. I want to change the convo because we're definitely, and I know the title of the stream is based around Detroit Lions rookies and which one we feel like will take the biggest step. We'll get to that. We're going to get to that at about 9:00 after this, maybe 8:45. We'll see how this discussion goes. But I saw this floating around PFF Lions, and we put it out on Crunch Time at Official CT Pod right there above us.
Shout out
on X. Yeah,
give us a follow.
Yeah, give us a follow. Give the boys are grinding on Twitter, so go ahead and show some love. But I saw this, guys. Like, Lucas,
I've got an answer, and I don't know if it's going to be liked around here.
You know what? Let me get this out of the way, Booner, because I think you might think I'm going one way. I think I'm going the other way. So this is what I think about this.
We might be opposite all of a sudden.
Well, when I saw this graphic, and I looked at it, I thought, okay, like Khalil Mack, he could definitely help. But then I thought about the Chargers situation and how much they're over the cap. Khalil Mack is most likely going to be cut because of cap casualty. So why on earth would you trade a fourth round pick for somebody that's going to be cut and be a cap casualty? And then, I don't know, you can keep the fourth rounder and sign him, and then he can come here and go haunt the Chicago Bears twice this season and get his revenge. Like, I like that. I don't mind. If you ask me, Jeff, would you want to bring him back? Yeah, I don't mind it, but I'm not trading for him.
And Jeff, you were spot on. I know you guys sent this in the group earlier today, and first thing I texted, all I said was please. I'm with you on that, though. If you go look at it, I text please, and then I went right when I sent that text, I went and looked at his contract. And if you trade for a fourth round pick, guess what his cap hit is this next year in 2024? Like $37 million. $37 million. No wonder they're going to cut him. Last year it was $16 million. The year before it was 8. Before it was 14, 26. Like this year is his highest of his. And obviously you might be able to restructure and move things around, but no, not even 37, 38. So that's the cap hit as of right now. If you just traded him and got him, unless you restructured or maybe the Chargers pay a percentage of it. I don't know how all of that works. I'm not a GM, but that cap hit, when you just look at it, it's not worth it. It is not worth it. And I know it's only for 1 year, and you do have the money to where, yes, you're going to extend guys, you're going to bring free agents in, and you don't have to worry about it after this year. And it's not like one of those long-term things that we talked about yesterday, to where I was like, maybe you can get a Danielle Hunter for 2 years instead of 4. Like, that's a 1-year deal. I know it's 38, but like it's gone after that. I'm with you. Like, they're going to cut guys, and they've already said, I'm pretty sure Harbaugh wants to keep Eckler, and they're probably going to try and keep a Keenan Allen. I don't see them staying with Khalil Mack at $38 million. I don't see it. Well, and that's like the highest one almost on the team. That's a guy you cut, and then you go pick him up. I think he would want to come to Detroit too. I don't think it's a thing where he's like, no, I don't want to do it.
Well, Booner, you know what? Great segue, because I'm going to read this comment, then I want Lucas to share his thoughts on it, because I want to clear this up. He says, Dark Flame, shout out to you, by the way. He says, because then you'd have to bid against other teams and drive his salary up. His cap hit, if traded, is a max of $23.4 million for the receiving team. And just to kind of speak on like the competing with other teams for him, like, guys, like, I know this is hard for some to kind of compute. You're one of those teams. Like, it's not like, please, like the Pistons are going to be doing this for a long time. Please come here. Please come join our football team or our basketball team. We'll pay you anything you'd like. Come join our basketball or football team. In this scenario, we're using the line. So football team. You just be like, hey, you want to compete for a Super Bowl? Here's a contract. If not, cool. See you later. Like, that's how you handle it. There is no competing for other teams. Like, we're the Lions. We're one of the best in the NFC. You want to play with us and play your old team that traded you away twice a year, and you get to play with some good football players? If not, sayonara. See you later. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much for me to say. I was going. It's like it smells like a trap, because if you sign Khalil Mack or you trade for Khalil Mack, you're just getting in cap hell for one season. You want to talk about spending money where you can't sign a corner or you can't sign an interior defensive end. You're just relying on the draft. That would be a move. But to your guys' point, if he were to hit waivers, bring him home. Bring him home. But that contract, you got to negotiate that down, because Khalil, as a great player as he's been, in my opinion, he's a Hall of Fame talent. I don't know if he's going to get in there, but he definitely will have a case for it. He's not the same Khalil. Can he produce at a high level still? I think yes, but not consistently. And if you're going to invest big money, you go and you get a guy that can do it consistently. So love Khalil Mack on a cheaper deal, but not for that. No way.
And I do think, like, I say this all the time, and you're probably going to hear this a lot in the offseason. I do trust Brad. Like, I know Brad's not going to go out there and make a dumb trade. And if he does somehow make that trade, it's because he knows what he's doing with the cap, and he has kind of a grasp on what he has, and if he can restructure, or what he has available and what he wants to do. So if he does somehow make that trade and it pops up on our phones, I wouldn't be like, I would just be like, okay, here we go. Like, Brad has a plan. Gentry, what's up, baby?
Gentlemen, how we doing?
You look beautiful as ever today.
What was that?
Said you look
Jeff?
Beautiful as ever.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. What are you wearing?
I just got back from dinner, so
fancy dinner. Okay.
No, I just sat down. I said, let's rock. I didn't have time to, change.
Yeah. No, I feel you. No, I was kind of listening to what you guys were saying though. If you're gonna go out and first, he is gonna get cut, and if you're gonna go out and spend big money on that, like a player like him, he really hasn't been that consistent over the last 3-4 years. So I would go out and get a guy like Danielle Hunter before I, sign a guy like Khalil Mack. But yeah, I'm definitely not trading for him when he's getting cut. He is 110% getting cut.
I thought he was last year.
I did too. I mean, he had just that. I mean, I think if the Chargers would keep Joey, right?
I was just about to say they might. They don't have to, but they might cut both of them, especially because Joey Bosa is coming off an injury, and it sounds terrible to say, but he's getting paid so much money, and now with Jim Harbaugh, he's going to want to start doing his own thing. So they might just try to clear that cap as much as they can, so Jim can do his thing and cook.
I think there is going to be a side too, to where Jim's going to be like, I want to win. Like, I did see he wants to keep Eckler. Like, I think there's going to.
I don't get that, man. I don't understand.
I just think he wants to win now. Like, I don't think that. Like, I get Jim. But I just don't think he wants to, like, let's cut every good player and move on. Like, so the report I saw says he wants to keep some of these good players. And Eckler was one of the ones that he likes, and I think he just likes kind of having a running back, like having a dude. That's how
that's why I'm surprised, because Eckler's, I feel like, is not his type of running back. But I'm not saying he doesn't want to win now, because you can cut 2 or 3 players off that team and they still have studs everywhere, especially on the defense. So I think they'll be fine. They have to clear that cap up a little bit. It's going to take cutting a guy or two, regardless if it's Bosa or not. I think he's definitely on that list of possible cut candidates.
Yeah, I think he keeps more people on the defensive end than he does on offense. I mean, I don't know. I can't see him keeping Austin Eckler and paying a guy like that for. I mean, I don't want to say he was brutal last year, but he wasn't Austin Eckler, and even the year before that, he missed some time. So it's like, I don't know how willing they are to fork up a contract to a running back when they do have so many other things to address, and with a new head coach coming in. So.
Yeah, I think we all are in lockstep here. It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. They're going to cut him, and Brad will have his options, whether Brad feels like he's a good fit or not. I know, like, people keep bringing up the term, like, Brad's guys, which, like, I get. He's looking for a specific type of football player. But, like, to say that, like, well, that guy's not a Brad guy, you'd have to really be sure of that. Like, we don't really know. Like, who knows? Maybe Brad's sitting there going, hey, if Khalil Mack's cut, I would like him. Like, I would like to bring him. We don't know. So we'll find out. I think he will be cut, though. I do. I don't think the Chargers keep Mack. I mean, that cap hit is absurd. Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't see a scenario there. Okay, so
it's like a Ken Bazemore cap hit.
Bazemore. Like, what a ball, man. What a ball, dude. Don't disrespect Kent Bazemore either.
Hey, he was a decent player, but he was getting paid elite money.
He was a
That's
dude,
fair.
man. I wanna
Hey,
see what
Evan
he
Turner is
averages.
another one, man. Evan Turner got that bag. And
Evan-
hey, I don't hate it. Get your bag to sit on the
OSU
bench.
alum.
For this. Yeah.
He was a dog. He was a dog in college.
He was good at OSU.
He was, but later towards the end of his career,
He was good. He was solid
I
with
think
the
he's still
Celtics. That was
playing
it.
too, by the way. Overseas, maybe.
the corpse of Evan
I would say
Turner.
the
Okay.
corpse. Yeah.
I want to the whole title of this video. You guys see it. It's which Lions rookie will take the biggest step next season. I have a poll on YouTube, so if you want to chime in on the poll, go ahead. It has over 100 votes on the poll right now, and it says which rookie will take the biggest leap next season. The options are Sam LaPorta, and I guess he's already all pro, so I get that. Brian
Are we
Branch.
going off statistics? I'm assuming.
Yeah, you could go off statistics. You could go off recognition, brand,
Okay.
like make a statement like he's arrived kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Sam LaPorta, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jack Campbell. Those are the four guys.
This is easy.
Have.
Booner.
You know what, Booner? Go eat.
This is easy. Let me break this down. Let me break this down for you boys. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna convince all three of you right now. I'm gonna convince the whole chat who it is, and there's no other answer to it. Number one, let's talk about Sam LaPorta. Sam LaPorta was second team All Pro. All he can do going forward is get first team All Pro, which he probably does in his career. The only thing he has going for him going forward now is he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, like Lukas said, and he's going to do that. Sam LaPorta already had his year. He's going to go out there and get 1,000, still almost 10 touchdowns. He's going to go put numbers up. We saw what he could do already. Number two, Jahmyr Gibbs. I say it all the time. Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 running back in the NFL, in my opinion. Now, other people might disagree with that. I think that his skill set, top 5 already as a rookie. So for him to kind of improve to where I think he's already in that top 5, top 7 range, I don't see he's going to improve and get 1,000 rushing. If he wasn't hurt, he would have already had that. Number 3, Brian Branch. You guys just named him, I think, yesterday, like Rookie of the Year or whatever it was. Like we gave him an award because he's been so consistent and so good throughout the season at his position. Now, the one fellow I'm going to talk about here, fellas, that is Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell is a guy that he started on the bench and kind of rotating in through the year. And as the year progressed, he started to get more reps. When Anzo went down, guess who had the green dot? Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell just kept stepping up. And you saw by the end of the year, Jack Campbell was kind of integrated and they couldn't take him off the field at that point. So I think next year, I think it's a Jack Campbell year, fellas. I think he goes out there and he's going to put up 100+ tackles easily. And I've already said it on this show before. I think Jack Campbell goes out there and ends up being the number 1 linebacker on this football team next year. He's got the size. He's got the skill set. He's got the mind for it. He has everything you need and you want in a linebacker to kind of lead that defense. Now you have Jack Campbell taking over that number 1 spot and still Anzo there as a captain. That is insane. I think the other 3 guys just already kind of showed kind of what they can do, and we know what they're going to do. I just think Jack's the one who was here, and I think he can get up here with those guys. He still has to get up with those guys. I think he doubles up and takes that jump.
Now, I think we all. Anybody disagree?
No, I had the same reasons as Booner. I mean, I think the room for improvement in Jack Campbell compared to those other guys is just different. But I still do think all 3 of those guys take superior leaps next year. One of those guys being Brian Branch, but just the most room for improvement is definitely Jack Campbell.
Yep.
Now,
what do you
Booner?
I already know who he's going to go. I already know.
But just hear me out. Because you had a beautiful take. Everything you said, including with Jack Campbell, is 100% spot on. I do not want what I'm about to say. Think what you're saying is wrong. In my opinion, this is how I'm just looking at it. I think Brian Branch is an all-pro type of player, all-pro type of talent. I think if you look at Kyle Hamilton, I'm not saying they're the same player, but you see the dramatic jump that Kyle Hamilton made, and I still think Jack Campbell has the room to improve more statistically, but I think as far as being a fundamental piece of this defense and being a star in the NFL, getting recognized around the NFL as being, that dude is an elite safety. That guy he is proven, he is here. I think you saw glimpses of that. But if you look, he's not on the level of Jahmyr Gibbs or Sam LaPorta. He's damn close. But I think this is the year that Brian Branch, he's going to become second in line behind Aiden Hutchinson as the face of this defense. And I think it's going to be just a consistent basis because I was watching Brian Branch film today. It was just the 15-minute one that the Lions put out. And if you go back and rewatch it, it feels like you're watching a 4 or 5 year NFL vet that just knows what to do. And this man's playing in week 4. And it's just the things that Brian Branch can do. He's only going to get better. Again, I agree with your take on Jack 100%. I think he's next in line right behind Brian. He might have more statistical jump, but just as far as their player in the progression and what they do for the defense, I think it's Brian Branch, especially if CJ's out the door. It's Brian Branch's safety room. I understand it was this year, but I don't think they anticipated as much as he was.
You know what, Lucas?
I think it's just a Brian Branch show.
I love that. I don't hate that at all.
Hey, we can break bread.
Do not hate that at all. Like if both of those, think about this too. If both of those guys make this jump like that, I'm saying Jack will have, and you're saying Brian will have. Think about how good this defense could be. You have two guys that are coming off rookie years, and they're making it. One's making an All-Pro jump, and the other one's doubling his statistics. I'll take that all day.
I'm with you.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I agree, Lucas. Like,
Just great point.
Just from the standpoint of like, because I love how you phrased it. Like in Mike and Booner, I agree with you guys about Jack Campbell about like statistically taking the biggest jump. Like that's the easy answer. Like he's gonna have a breakout season because of course he came along all season. He was working his way and he impressed towards the end. But like Brian Branch was good, so you just kind of be like, he'll be good. No, like I think Brian can go to great, like elite, like all pro, like level. He's an all pro level talent. And I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. If we're talking between the two, who's more likely to make an all pro? I'll go with Brian Branch. So
me too. I agree.
That has to be more significant. Make it an all pro team.
Yeah. See, I agree with that. I just like bigger jump, like Brian Branch. Like obviously he wasn't close to all pro this year, but he put up number. Like he had a pick 6 versus the best quarterback in the world. Like
in his first game.
He made plays. So if we're talking about biggest jump, like I don't know, Jack right now, like his jump to becoming an all-pro is way longer than it is for Brian Branch because Brian Branch is already halfway there. So like if I look at it that way, but I do agree. Like I can't disagree with anything you guys just said.
That's why they call him the ball knower. He's just like came on. And both points are great. Like Jack Campbell and
both
Brian
things can be true. Both things can be true.
Hell,
we want both to be true. We want both to be true.
Now, just to kind of talk about the other rookies, now that we got like who we think will have the biggest jump, let's just talk about what we expect out of these guys. Like, what do we expect out of a Jahmyr next year? What do we expect out of a Sam LaPorta in their second season? What should Lions fans expect?
You guys want to go first?
Yeah. Right. We'll go around. We'll go around the horn.
Who should we start with? Should we start with Gibbs? Because I would like to start with Gibbs.
Let's do Gibbs.
I want to start with Gibbs because Gibbs, I think he was injured for a couple of games. He was what 40 yards from 1,000. I think Gibbs, maybe I'm crazy thinking he's top 5, top 7 right now. By the end of next season, fellas, he will be in that conversation. I don't know if you guys remember who was it? Was it Dan Orlovsky or Louis Riddick who said that he'll be in an MVP conversation in the next few years?
That'd be Louis Riddick.
That was Louis Riddick. Well, guess what? I'm not going to go MVP next year, but I expect next year Jahmyr Gibbs to go out there and put up, 1,200 rushing yards. That sounds like a lot. 1,000 plus rushing yards, 500 receiving. Go out there and, to be honest, go make a name for yourself to be like offensive rookie of the year or something like that. Go get 10 plus touchdowns again. I'm just throwing that out there. Louis Riddick said MVP next year. I'm just
confused because you said offensive rookie of the year.
Or offensive player of the year. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Offensive player of the year. Yeah, on me. Sorry. I'm just saying, go out there and make a case for you to win offensive player of the year. Go put up some big time numbers. Try and stay healthy and go score touchdowns. Go get 10 plus touchdowns. Put up a ton of yards. And I think he's going to do that. Like, because we saw him kind of the first half of this season didn't make that big of a jump. Like he wasn't. And then he got hurt. When he came back from injury, that 8-week stretch to end the season in the playoffs, if he does that to start all next season, he'll be one of the best in the NFL, and they will be talking about him to win Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gentry, or whoever wants.
And I was going to say, certainly Gibbs was explosive in the run game all season, but next year I'm going to be looking for like how Ben Johnson's going to get him involved more in the receiving game. It just seemed like we've seen the same plays over and over again, and even sometimes Goff and him just didn't have that connection. So I think over training camp in the offseason, those two really improving that and bringing out Gibbs more as a weapon in the receiving game, I think that's going to be huge for Gibbs' next step. Obviously, we've seen what he can do when he runs the ball and he gets the ball in his hands, but Ben Johnson's got to figure out some more creative ways to get him involved in the pass game.
I mean, boys, if we're being real, and if we're just taking a look around the NFL, MVP, no, he's not MVP level, no. Especially when you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all the quarterbacks of the world. A running back winning that is just very unlikely. Adrian Peterson was the last one to do it. And if you
he's not Adrian Peterson? I'm just kidding.
But hey, both great running backs, but he could get to that level hopefully. But Jahmyr Gibbs realistically could lead the NFL in rushing if he really wanted to, if he stays healthy, because Christian McCaffrey, I'm not wishing injury. I'll put it like this. If Christian McCaffrey is healthy, Jahmyr Gibbs I expect to be second in the league in rushing. If something happens to McCaffrey along the season, I think there's no reason why Jahmyr Gibbs cannot be leading the league in rushing. I don't see it because through the first 7 weeks, Jahmyr Gibbs was in the game, but during the playoffs and that backstretch of the season when they unleashed Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think when you look at the lines, they're going to be improving on defense. What's that going to do? It's going to allow them to run the ball more. They're going to be up more in games. So Jahmyr Gibbs, he's going to have his production. And I do think that David Montgomery, he's not going to take a dramatic step back, but he was 1,000-yard back. I don't expect that again. I think he'll be like 700-800. And okay, that's 200-300 more yards for Gibbs. Add that into the missed games and kind of easing in process. What do you think that adds up to? I don't think 1,200 yards when you said that, Booner. I did not think that was egregious. I thought that was honestly kind of spot on. 1,300 yards, I don't think is out of the reach for Jahmyr Gibbs. That's why you take him 12th overall.
Hey, Jeff, before you
behind that line,
to back Lucas's point there as well, Christian McCaffrey had 50 more carries, I think, than Jahmyr Gibbs this year. And on top of that, Christian McCaffrey yards per game or yards per carry 5.4, Jahmyr Gibbs 5.2. So like he's right there with him. And I know it's 50 more carries, and that's another level. But going into a second year, making a jump, don't be surprised if Jahmyr Gibbs gets that many more carries, and as well as he gets more than 5.2 yards per carry, because he's going to make an improvement at some point.
So this is where I'm at.
Jeff, let's bring it down to earth.
When Jeff makes that like
sigh,
yeah, like he's like, all right, let me reel you boys back in real quick.
Well, I'll say this, and I love listen, Gibbs he's a talent. Like he is. And
you don't have to butter us up before you tell it.
No, he really is. Like this isn't about. I'm gonna kind of like Lucas said, kind of try and bring everyone back down to earth a little bit. Just kind of provide some context, right? Context is important. And if we're talking offensive player of the year, you're not winning that. He's not. There's no way he's winning offensive player of the year. He's sharing a backfield with somebody that is going to have more carries and more yards, we expect, right? If he missed 3 games this year. If we played 14, Jahmyr played in 15. So he played in less games and still had more yards. Not saying David's way better or anything. I'm just saying they're going to prioritize David as the bell cow back. What I am looking for with Jahmyr is the passing. Like Mike nailed it. I'm with him. I think the biggest jump for me isn't rushing. I think he'll always be, to be honest with you, with just the touches he gets in the run game. Like 1,000 to maybe 11, maybe 1,200 to me would be like if he balls out. I don't see like enough to, I don't see, he's not going to get a 13, 14 to be up there with the offensive player of the year guys. I don't see that. Now, yards from scrimmage, we could talk combined. Maybe he doubles his production in the receiving game. Who knows? Like maybe he's more of a weapon. He's on the field a lot more. But again, you want to keep him healthy. Like that's what matters. Hey, MP. Hey, it's your business. But as Chef would call him, the electrician. That's what he's calling him. I like to call him.
He did it.
Me and Chef, we go back and forth. I think he's a great player, but we have to kind of pull back the expectation because I don't know if the Lions will want to use him like that. Like Christian McCaffrey's taller, bigger. Like you want to conserve him so he's not banged up. I just don't see in a way they let him loose to where he can get that type of production in the run game. Does that make sense? Like I think he'll always be kind of 1,000, around 1,000, maybe 1,100. But I just don't think rushing he can get enough to be in the offensive player of the year case.
Here's my thing, and I don't think anything you said was egregious. This is just kind of my reaction to that. So You have Gibbs. He has 1,000 yards this year, right?
Right.
He's with the Lions defense getting better and with him naturally getting better. And I think Goff, I don't think he's going to be second in the league in passing yards next year. I don't. I think Jared Goff could still have a good year, but I don't see him throwing for 4,500 yards again, especially with it. Like I said, the defense being better is my whole point in where I'm thinking from this. I don't think it's outrageous for if Gibbs gets 200-300 more yards on the ground, or maybe if he doesn't, at least gets 150. But then to your point in the receiving game, gets 200-300 in there. So
Right.
I think 1,500 yards is very reasonable. And again, I don't think offensive player of the year MVP next year, but I do think at some point in Jahmyr Gibbs' next 5 years, he gets close to that level, because after
sure.
Demon's contract kind of dips, I think that's when it's just the Jahmyr Gibbs show. Because I do
Yeah.
think Demon still gets his carries for sure, and that's gonna affect Jahmyr.
He's gonna get in this conversation at some point. And like running backs, it's not like you need to like let them go for 3 or 4. Like, no, like is he good or not? And he, like, this year he showed he's good. He missed 2 games, still had 940 rushing yards. Like, if he plays a full season, he's over 1,000 easily, averaging like 60 a game. So he's almost at 1,100 just if he played in every game. And so like I don't think it's crazy to say for him to go out there and get 1,200 and getting a little bit more carries. I think there's a side of it to where, Jeff, I do understand what you're saying when it comes to like reserving him or preserving, whatever the word you used was. But there is a point in football where it's, hey, if you have a dude, man, you use your dude. You just don't be like, hey, we have another guy, let's just not use this other guy because of that. It's like, no, like I get what you're saying to a point, but go, like, you want to put the ball in the best guy's hands. And I guess Ben has said at some points, like, we have so many weapons, it's hard to get the ball to so many guys. Like, there's so many weapons. So I do understand that to an extent. I just think it's like we saw this year, he didn't get as many carries to the first 7 or 8 games because he was just kind of getting into the flow. But the second half of the season, he started really getting carries. He's gonna, like, it's a fact that next year he's going to end up getting more carries than he did this year. And he had 940 yards with what he had. And so I think he goes over 1,100 next year easily.
Well, and that's why I brought up the David Montgomery point, right? With like, he had 1,000 and missed 3 games. So we could play that both ways and be like, well, if David doesn't miss, he's at 1,200. Maybe hell, if he has 3 huge games, he could be at over 1,200. Who knows? I also think that the way the Lions use him, and Steve Wild beat me to it because he just put it in the chat. I'm not saying he's only effective because of what they do in Monty, but I do think him being fresh and staying fresh helps with the yards per carry. Like, does that, like, because those can be skewed if you're giving them
how
a ton
it works normally.
Yeah. So I think how they're, because Booner, like,
Fair.
I'm aggressive. Like, when I think of drafting a running back in the first round, this is my philosophy, and I'll just say it. Like, this is how I feel. It sounds kind of messy. If I draft a running back in the first round, the 4 years, 50, including the 5th year option, we'll go 5 years, I'm running him into the ground. Like, and then I'm letting him go. Like, that's how I feel with running backs. Because to me, there's a ton of them. Like, you can go replace running backs. That's how the game works. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. That's how I view it.
You ruined his career.
So, yeah, I mean, sorry. That's just how I view it. Like, if I'm taking a Saquon, you're giving him, that's why he gets 30 carries. And you know what I mean? Like, you're pounding the rock with these guys that you're drafting high. Now, how I think the Lions will use him is they want to conserve him. You want to keep him fresh and you want to keep him healthy. So that's why I don't see him being unleashed in that way.
Unleash that man.
Yeah, and
unleash that man. Let him go, man. Take him off the leash.
I'm with you. Like,
it's nothing against Gibbs or any other Lions player, but I think the way the Lions offense runs and how they spread the ball around, like, I think Gibbs is still going to have 1,000 yards, obviously rushing, and he'll get his own on his receiving. But the way the offense is run, I don't think that any like offense or Lions offensive player will ever be in the offensive player of the year voting. The way they're built right now, there's just too many mouths to feed. There's too many guys to get the ball to. And I think that would just bring the Lions away from their niche on how they run their offense, kind of just force feeding some guys. And I don't think that'll ever happen. I mean,
hey, wait, boys. Wait, are you guys sure that Jamo's not going to get 1,400 and go compete?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jamo 1,500.
Is there anyone in here who says 1,400, 1,500 for Jamo? I'm just
yeah.
Shout out Justin,
hey,
man.
Spiro, that was debunked. The boys didn't say it.
We did not say it. It is confirmed. We did. None of us on here. We went back and watched the film. We all said 1,000 and 800 to 900 from Lucas.
He did hit me with the stats though. Like when he put up the 3,000 yard receivers, I was like, "Oh no!"
The thing is when we have that,
I wasn't familiar with their game. Like I didn't know you had data.
When we had the conversation, I think in my point, I was saying 1,000 yards. Like, and I think a lot of us were, and you too, Jeff. I think we all said like a minimum 1,000 yards. Like we think he can get to that 1,000 yard mark next year, and we did bring up the point. I remember you saying that, hey, like, Jared, like, there's a lot of guys that need to get fed here, and we did talk about that. But the 1,400, no one said 1,400. That was just, whoa,
that's insane.
There's only one player getting 1,400. That's St. Brown. Like that's
the Amon Ra, St. Brown. That is my friend, St. Brown.
Yeah, but I think for Gibbs, I mean, I think if I'm in Brad's position and I'm telling Dan, like, listen, Dan, like this guy has it'd be 4 years now with the 5th-year option we have him for. Like, you want to use this man because, again, like I'm walking into another trap here. I'm not a fan of re-signing running backs, but
you told me the other day.
But let me ask you guys a question. Adam asked this question, and I think it's a great one. Do the Cowboys regret drafting Zeke?
No.
Re-signing, yes. Re-signing, yes.
Not comparing the players, but you get what I'm saying? If you get 5 years productivity out of a player, like that's a win. Like, and he helps you win a lot of games. Now the Cowboys didn't win anything, postseason. I'm talking about something.
They definitely missed Zeke this year. They were awful in the red zone. They were fucking terrible in the red zone. Tony Pollard couldn't do shit. So they definitely should have re-signed Zeke.
That's a fact.
I just think there's guys like if you even look at the running backs taken in the second rounds of the world, the LaShawn McCoys, the Jamal Charles. If you would have told me, hey, LaShawn McCoy, Jamal Charles, they're taking 12th overall, do you think you would be like, what? No, you'd be like, oh, yeah. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs has all the talent that those guys have. So you look back 4 to 5 years, and you're like, do we want to re-sign Jahmyr Gibbs to a 4 or 5 year super max deal running back? Hell no. But Jahmyr Gibbs, at least, like, he's not just going to stop being fast anytime soon. He's not just going to stop being a weapon anytime soon. So if he's commanding top dollar, then maybe I'd be like, all right, Jahmyr, you're a great player, but we can find a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round that Brad knows is a dog. But if you want to stay around here and be like the D-Mont, and then we get another bell cow back, I think bringing back Jahmyr Gibbs, every team wants a player like Jahmyr Gibbs, and I don't think that's going to change for another 7-8 years down the road.
Yeah, I think that's it's spot. I mean, that it's spot on. That's how I think Brad will approach it. So, for a guy like LaPorta, though, we'll move to him. What should we expect? I honestly, guys, is at least with the tight end position, he peaked so early, like he was so good so early. Like, I think if we're talking about LaPorta next year, it's going to be kind of a similar season, like 1,000 yards all pro.
Yeah,
like I don't know. Unless you think he can be like Travis Kelce, 1,400 yards. I don't know if who knows? I just think St. Brown's going to get fed. Maybe LaPorta can get over 1,000, like 1,100 maybe, but I think 1,000 is a guarantee with LaPorta.
I think there's a world as well too, and I don't want people to think this is like a bad thing. I think there's just a world as well with the tight ends that are in the NFL, with Travis Kelce, who wasn't an All-Pro this year, TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, who was hurt. Like, there's a world next year where Sam LaPorta does go out there and puts up 1,000 plus and has another 7-8 touchdowns and doesn't even make an All-Pro team. Like that, there's a world out there that happens, and he even improves and he has a better season, and he might not even make an All-Pro team. It's just that's the way that position, in my opinion. I could be wrong, fellas, but in my opinion, like if all those guys are healthy, like you have, and I've always said this as well with the tight end position, is there's only about 6 or 7 like legit like dudes in the NFL that are at the tight end position. And then the fall off and the drop off is very, very fast. Sam LaPorta has added to that list and made that list one more tight end longer. I just think though that like if Travis Kelce has a season next year and George Kittle does as well, Sam LaPorta could have a better season than he did this year. And those, like, it's just, I think that's the only thing. I don't want people to be like every year he's going to get all pro like that. No players do that unless you're like an offensive lineman, like a Jason Kelce or a Penei Sewell. But like, I do think that like, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't make an all pro team and still had better stats next year.
Yeah, and I liked Eduardo's comment. He said LaPorta can have a lot of touchdowns and less yards. I could totally see that happening just for defenses, more game planning for him. Obviously, he wasn't more of a question mark halfway through the year, but defenses were still figuring out how the Lions were using him in their offense and getting familiar with him. And now that him and Goff have been such a great duo, defenses are going to be game planning for Sam LaPorta being that number 2 option right behind St. Brown. So I could see him getting a little bit less yards and maybe getting more involved in the red zone. Yeah, I could totally see that.
And that's what I do think the case is. I do think LaPorta, his impact will feel the exact same, but his yards, they're going to drop. And that is perfectly okay. He's probably going to have 800 to 900 yards. And I know I've said it 2 times already, but it goes back to the defense. If you look at LaPorta's biggest game against the Saints, do you really think that if the Lions address the secondary, that Derek Carr's throwing for 300 yards, having his best performance of the year? No. And during that game, Sam LaPorta was the one keeping that offensive line. He was getting 50-yard gains. He was getting multiple touchdowns. I don't think that happens as consistently. The Lions defense is going to be shutting down offenses, and they're going to be running the ball more. I think that puts Sam LaPorta in great play action situations, even more so. But to Gentry's point, now the defense, they're more focused on Sam LaPorta. But I still think he's going to be Jared Goff's guy on third down, on crucial downs and time management. So he's still going to be a huge part of this offense. But I think yardage-wise, he's going to dip a little bit. It's perfectly okay, though. Like, he's still going to be a great player and playing and looking like an all-pro.
Yeah, because he played in every game this season, regular season, and then he had almost 900 yards. I get what you're saying. I actually agree. I agree with you, Booner, about the All-Pro thing, because honestly, you just sparked some a thought of mine of like, damn, I forgot how many tight ends were injured. Like I forgot about a TJ, I forgot about Mark Andrews. Like those guys are premier tight ends as well. So I get that. And then you have Brock Bowers coming up, and he's going to be really good. Who knows? We'll see. But there's more tight ends, so who knows? But I'll say this though: I do think 1,000 yards should be. I think that's. I think it's doable with him. I do, because I don't know.
Not unreasonable. No.
I will say this. I disagree with Lukas and Gentry when it comes to the yardages. I think he still gets about the same yardage, if not a little more. Like, one of the biggest things of his game was yards after catch and making plays. Like, he's one of those tight ends. He's not like a tight end like there's these like Pat Fryer moves and like these tight ends who like they do catch a lot of touchdown passes and they're good red zone targets. He's like, to me, he's more of a George Kittle, a Travis Kelce, a TJ Hawkinson, to where he will catch the ball and he will make plays, and that's just inevitable. Yeah. Like, you could throw any defense you want at him. He's going to find a way to get open, and two, he's going to find a way to get yards after a catch, and that's just what it comes down to. And that's why I think like it's so easy for like he's just one of those tight ends. I think like guys like those, they're so consistent and they're so reliable every year, and they never have a drop off, is because like they're just so good at catching the ball and making a play, and he's just one of those guys. Like he could do that. He's not like one of these other tight ends who can go out and get 8 touchdowns and 400 yards. Like I think he's every year it's 800-900 yards, if not 1,000, and it's going to be a very, very consistent thing year after year after year, just because of his playmaking abilities.
Now, at least for another player on this Lions team, that's a rookie. We're breaking down Colby Soares. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we are not. No, we are not.
No,
we are not.
But like I couldn't help but notice when we were talking about like players that could break out, a couple people dropped. There was a couple Brodric Martins in there. There's a couple Brodric Martins in there, Lukas. Come on. No? I'm not saying like breakout.
Another year. Let him, just don't judge him off this next year. I'm just going to keep saying that. Let him have another year.
Okay. Because I'm curious where he's at. I don't want to act like he's going to be Chris. I'm not saying he's going to be Chris Jones or anything. But can he be better than Benito Jones?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not saying much, but
what is that saying?
Yeah.
I know.
Booner could be better than Benito Jones if he wants to.
Yeah. And
I would see that. The quickness.
Little swim move.
See Harrison Phillips out there.
Hey, but in Benito, I don't want to trash on him. He was good in the run game. Like, it was run defense. Like, he helped with that. Like, I get that. But, like, I'm saying that this defensive line, like, there's room for guys to just pop up and play. Like, Levi Onwuzurike had a bunch of he was, like, inactive for a bunch of weeks. And that was a second-round pick. Like, I think Brodric with some more development. Here's the kicker, though. Who do they add in free agency? Who do they draft? Because now there's more competition coming in, and Brodric's gonna. If he doesn't get it together, Lukas, you're right. He'll start falling behind, which isn't ideal for a third-round pick. It's literally the third-round pick,
and he's already dealing with injuries. I'm telling you what, it's just with interior defensive linemen, interior offensive linemen that are kind of third, fourth, middle of the draft picks. Injuries affect them so much more than first, second round picks, and obviously already veterans in the league, because they have yet to prove anything. They're fighting for spots in the roster, and every time they get hurt, they have a lack of exposure on the field, so they don't know what to grade. The coaches at the end of the day don't care about that. They need something to grade, and they need something to progress off of. Obviously, he's going to get better, but I don't think Brodric Martin is going to be turning into the player that Lions fans hoped that he would last year when they're like, oh, Brad, he just He just traded up for this monster out of Western Kentucky. Look at him. He's a people mover. He's a man-eater, yada, yada, yada. And then it was crickets during the regular season. And it's understandable. Rookie season. I'm not going to say he's just a flat-out bust yet. What I'm saying is we need, like, for people that are saying Brodric Martin is going to be some dog on this team and have a huge impact, just let's pump the brakes and let's see it before we say it's going to happen in that situation. You haven't even seen a clue of it. You haven't seen a clue.
Love that, Lucas.
Yeah,
Talk to me.
yeah, I think
Love that.
Ultimately, like, I'm with you. Like, you'd hope they get something out of him. He's a 3rd round pick, but like,
Brad's gonna miss eventually.
Yeah, like
hey, I mean, and every time we thought he missed, guess what? If he Malfonder, that man stepped up out of nowhere.
True.
Like
True.
Levi. Like, I'm just telling you, Levi. That's true. I'm
Josh
just saying,
Pascal?
He was big in the playoffs, especially he was almost huge against the Niners. They walked out of there that end round to Debo. He shut that down.
Jeff wants to be right on Pascal so bad. He's banking on it.
I think I would never trash on Josh Pascal like I trash on the other guys.
No, that's fair.
Josh is showing some signs.
Yeah, 100%.
Give me something.
He can do both. He can play the interior and he can play the edge. So Jeff, I know.
He's a great depth guy.
Jeff's over there like, oh yeah, fellas.
I saw this too, this graphic, because we were talking about PFF earlier. They put out the highest graded offensive lineman, regular season and postseason, guys. This is the reason why I say this and I think we all agree, right? The best offensive line in football. I would say that because you have 2 offensive linemen as the highest graded PFF. It's funny, PFF people choose when to use it, and they like to use it when it fits their narrative. Now it fits my narrative, so I'm a fan of it. Frank Ragnow and Penei Sewell are both on the highest graded offensive lineman, highest graded center, Frank Ragnow, highest graded right tackle, Penei Sewell. He actually had a higher grade than Trent Williams.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Penei Sewell. I saw a list that was total offensive linemen. I think Penei Sewell was the number 1 rated offensive lineman in the NFL per PFF this year.
The MVP of this team.
Yeah, we made that case yesterday. You can go check that out if you missed it. But the reason why I brought this up, guys, is, and I saw this floating around. And this was, I guess it was Jim Costa. Shout out to Jim, by the way. He's awesome. But he put out like a opinionated tweet about how he feels, what he thinks the Lions should prioritize heading into the draft. And I haven't heard anybody really bring this up yet.
I saw this.
He made a case that they should prioritize offensive line. He thinks it's the number 1 need because he thinks the biggest, the most important thing for this Lions team is keeping this offensive line great. With 2 offensive linemen that are free agents. You look at Graham, you look at Jonah Jackson. He's more talking about just the offseason in general. He thinks this should be the number 1 priority for the Lions. And then he had, I think, defensive line number 2, and then he had corner 3, which people are like, when you think about it, like, it should be corner. Guys, like, I think there's like some truth to that because there's a reason why yesterday
strictly draft we're talking.
I think overall offseason.
Just offseason I think
offseason. And I don't hate. I actually no. I'm a little bit with him. I think I've said this a couple weeks ago that I do feel like no matter what, you do have to figure that out. Whether you bring back Graham Glasgow and find a way to keep Jonah Jackson, or you go out there and draft someone in the first, like you go out there trade up for Jackson Powers Johnson. Like I agree with him. I agree with Costa on this one. Like offensive line, and I've said this for the last year is. That is the bread and butter. That is the heart of your football team. That's the reason that Jared Goff is what he is to a sense. We know that now. Like that's the reason Jahmyr Gibbs can go out there and rush for 5.2 yards per carry. There's a reason David Montgomery can go out there and get 5 yards a carry as well. Like it's this offensive line. And once you take that away and if you let that kind of melt down a little bit, like we saw this year, fellas, one guy there's some guys obviously like a Penei and Frank and some guys who are very, very valuable to this line, but you saw like even a Taylor Decker go down and this offensive line struggle. And like, I don't know what the record is, but like, what are they, like 9-1 when that full offensive line is healthy and the one loss is Dallas? So like, I don't hate it. Like I do not hate it. I think there's a way to kind of prioritize that, number 1, and still go out and fix the corner position and fix the defensive end position and make sure that you kind of that's why I always say the top 3 are corner, or I go DN, corner, and offensive line. And no matter what, you have to address all 3 of those. You have to. Those are 3 musts this offseason.
You do have to address it, but I think there's ways to prioritize it and still address the defensive line first. I don't want to say it's the first need. I would say it's defensive line, and then it's corner, and then it's offensive line. And then because your defensive line is obviously going to take some slack off that corner, get into the quarterback, but you still have to get another corner outside of Cam Sutton being your cornerback one. But I still do like that, like his position on it. Excuse me. But I still think that you have to address defensive line first, and then you kind of go to offensive line after that. I know it's your bread and butter with the offensive line, but I think there's still ways to prioritize that and keep some guys flowing in there. Like you said, re-sign Jonah, re-sign Graham, maybe go through the draft and still keep it an elite bunch rather than where your defensive line is already struggling and, definitely has some holes on it.
I don't hate the take, but I still think cornerback is your number one need. There's no way around that. I think the Lions, besides the Commanders, had the weakest corners on the outside and the perimeter. And when you look around the division, you can list 4 receivers on the Packers. You look at the Vikings, they have Justin Jefferson and now Jordan Addison, who's going to be a dog. And the Bears have DJ Moore. And, they're adding Caleb Williams most likely, so they're going to get potentially a top quarterback. Defense is what wins championships. It was a defensive game in the Super Bowl, and the better defense won that game. And you know what they had? The best secondary in the NFL. 49ers not 49ers. You look at the Patriots. They always had an elite secondary. They always had somebody on the perimeter to shut things down. Seattle always had somebody in the perimeter to shut things down. I'm not saying you got to go get a lockdown guy, but you can't be trotting out Cam Sutton and Kendall Vildor out there in the NFC Championship game. You are going to lose unless you're a top 5 quarterback 10 times out of 10. I think interior offensive line is a need, but if you have Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, not in that order, you have an elite offensive line as it is. Yodi against the 49ers in the NFC Championship, guys, I thought Yodi played just fine. In fact, I thought he played kind of good. So I'm not saying keep Yodi and you can put Yodi out there consistently. He's going to perform. No. But if you go and just get somebody that can be a placeholder, so then maybe next year you can go get that guy in the first round or the second round, or maybe you make that number one priority then. But this year it has to be defense, defense, defense. Whichever way you want to look at it, in my opinion, is corner, but it has to be defense.
Dude, I'm just gonna go. Like the Yodi thing. Like I can't believe you said that. I'm just like
he held his own. He held
his own. But Lucas, what I'm like, dude, you have the best offensive line in the NFL. You don't replace like.
Oh, he definitely held.
That's what I said. I don't think you keep trotting Yodi out there. You still take offensive line, but you worry about corner and D line first, without a doubt.
If you let that offensive line slip at all,
they're not. They're not going to. If you have those 3 pillars going into that season, you can afford to have a C+. Let's be honest. Is Graham Glasgow a B guard consistently? No. There was multiple games throughout the season where he kind of.
He's like one of the highest graded offensive linemen.
But there was multiple games, especially against the Raiders, you can look at, and even against the Packers, where he was just bad. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, but that's what happens when you kind of just trot out those guys. They still have the best offensive line in the league. They can still go get a guy in free agency that's very solid, and this is the best offensive line in the league. Name me the left guard for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, hold on. And
is it Marty or whatever?
No, like I'm saying, like they have 3 pillars. They had Lane Johnson, they had Jason Kelce, and then they had Mayada, or however you say it.
Mayada,
the other guys, Landon Dickerson, solid. I think he's a little overrated, but he's still solid. But they always kind of have one guy around there that's like, if you have those 3 guys, you're going to be all right. Now, I'm not saying do not address the O-line. Address the O-line, of course.
I just you cannot afford, in my opinion, you just can't afford that offensive line to drop off. I'm with you, though. Like the corner has to be the corner and defensive end has to be needs. That's why I'm going to stick with there's 3 needs on this football team. You address every single one of them this offseason. No questions, like no ifs, ands, or buts. Those 3 positions get addressed this offseason.
I actually, guys, I get what you're saying, Lucas. Like it just your argument. Like honestly, that Philadelphia Eagles point, you got me there. You got me there.
You look around every offensive line in the league, you're like, oh, who is that guy?
Hold on. Well, but let's compare quarterbacks. Let's compare mobility. Jared Goff's strength is being when he plays best when he's protected. This, they want to run the ball with Jahmyr and Monty. You want those guys. You want lanes to be opened up for those guys. I actually agree. And what Jim meant, and I think what he meant is they have to prioritize re-signing Graham, seeing what they're going to do with Jonah. And if not, they got to address it in the draft, which I think in the first round, if you get a guy like Jackson Powers, Johnson, or someone like that, then I'm actually all for it. I don't mind a first round offensive lineman, because I'm with Booner. It's like it's just what this team's identity is. All right. And I'm not saying they shouldn't draft. I don't think you're not saying
none of us are saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not saying they shouldn't address corner or defensive linemen.
Yeah.
I just think for offensive linemen to keep this offensive line elite, guys aren't getting any younger either. Like Decker's almost 30 years old, like Graham's 30 plus. You don't want them to lose what their strength is, or have it drop off, just for Jared's sake and for the run game strength, which is their strength, is running the football, establishing play action is what Jared's best in. So I think in my opinion, offensive line should be like, I know when people hear that, they're like, what? It's the most important, but I'll say it like this. The Lions have to prioritize keeping this offensive line elite this upcoming season. Then you can, obviously, we can talk about corner and the defensive line, but I don't think that takes I don't think it's off base. No. I do agree with that, because for Jared's sake, I want him to be protected. And I think that matters, because at least Jalen Hurts, you might be able to get away with it because he's mobile. He can scramble, he can make plays, extend plays. Like Jared, he's not mobile.
No. And that's a fair point. Especially if Jonah leaves, obviously this offensive line, the ceiling for it instantly shrinks a little bit. Because if we're being honest, guys, unless Brad Holmes moves up in the draft, which is always possible, Jackson Powers Johnson is not falling to 29. He's going to be a top 20 pick at the bare minimum. So they got to move up if they want him. If they don't, that's why I'm saying in the draft, there's not going to be a guy to take that elite step, in my opinion. At least Brad might have a guy, but with that 29th pick, if he doesn't move up, that's why I'm saying you just got to prioritize defense so bad, because you do have a guy that can help you take that next step on what you vitally need. Then, again, why I'm saying, Jeff, it's not egregious, take it all. Then go ahead in the second round, take a guard, take a center, take whoever you want. But I just think defense needs to be the first priority, because they already have a great offensive line, because they're going to address it regardless. They're going to address it in free agency. Brad knows he's got to replace it. He's going to, but I just think they emphasize defense a little bit more.
And to your point, I know it's tough using the Chiefs as a example ever, because they have Patrick freaking Mahomes, but their defense, man, you're not
Coach Junior.
The defense matters. It does. So you're not, I think you certainly there's an argument for both sides. I just think, man,
can we just all agree that there's three things that have to get done? If they don't get done, you're going to be disappointed. I think we can just I get there's a 1, 2, 3, but I think there's three things. There's a 1, 1, 1. Those three things need to get done this offseason. If they don't get done and one gets left off the board, I will personally be disappointed. And I know that we're always, I agree with Brad, and I will always agree with Brad. The Booner path is always with Brad, but it's just there's three things. It's 1, 1, 1. We need to get those things, Brad. And if we need to have a phone call and figure that out, I would love to have a phone call and break that down to you. But I trust in him to go out and do that. He knows the holes. He knows what needs to be done. Yeah,
Brad Holmes built this team when he first got here. He started right in the trenches. Yes. Offensive line, defensive line.
And Lucas, I know you're going to hate to hear this. He's going to make sure this offensive line gets taken care of.
Why would I hate to hear that? Why would I hate to hear that?
Because I think he's gonna because I think he's going to prioritize that. He built this offensive line from what he did. Like Jeff said, the inside out. He's going to make sure that doesn't fall apart. If I know Brad the way I know Brad, he's going to make sure he goes out there and gets that done.
I agree. I just think as far as the upper echelon talent, as far as he's not going to go sign a 5-star guy, but if he were to, I think it would be on the defensive side of the ball rather than the offensive line.
5-star. He's getting a 5-star recruit out here.
And he just said
I don't want to make it seem like I just don't want him to address the offensive line. And I don't want it to make it seem like I want Yodi going out there.
So what you're telling us is you want Yodi to be the starting left guard.
No, I was just throwing out an example how Yodi, against one of the best front sevens, he held his own. And it's not because Yodi's some phenomenal player. It's because other guys were able to help out a little bit and make him where he was in a good situation for what he was in. I don't think you can do that consistently and have success. They're going to put somebody levels above Yodi in there. But I just think it goes more towards the defense first, and I could be wrong, and I'm not going to be mad if I'm wrong.
I think Eduardo put this in there too. I hope Brad doesn't put all his eggs in the basket for Colby Sorsdahl. Like, I hope he's not like, we don't need a guard. We got Colby Sorsdahl. He might be, and he might take a jump, but like nothing I saw this year from Colby. Like, you should be sitting there going, yeah.
There he is.
That's who's replacing Jonah freaking Jackson, like a Pro Bowler.
Hey, don't talk down on Colby.
You
dude.
love Colby.
I think he has some potential.
So what?
It's
Yeah,
still
everybody's
early.
got potential.
Can't write
Right?
him
You
off.
think he improves?
I mean,
You don't want
Let him develop for another year, and then maybe he could take over for someone.
I mean, let's be real. Like, okay.
What is this? Where does this come from? No, not this. Where did this come from? What did I do?
You let Jeff into Ford Field.
No, I tried to get him out. It's Jeff. I tried
But
to
you
get
let
Jeff
him
out.
in it.
You guys want to
had
really
get
know
him
who?
out because you let him in.
Am I allowed to say certain things here? Do you guys want to know really who's to blame? Do you guys really want to know who's to blame? Do you guys want me to be honest?
Who's to blame?
Trust circle here. Detroit Lions were winning when I was on streams. There was I did get an ultimatum, and I had to leave the streams. So if we want to talk about
with you on there, Booner.
yeah, but we were on a streak. I got a text message from someone saying, "Hey, we know who to blame if the Lions lose." So I could tell you what, if I was on those streams, we would have won a Super Bowl. So you guys know who to blame on those.
Yeah,
Not going to call out any names specifically.
Yeah, let's just blame everybody, but I don't know, the team that threw a 17-point halftime lead. But yeah, that
I'm going to be honest too. I have to drink some blue Kool-Aid. I am having like actual like withdrawals that like I need to have some sort of Kool-Aid. Like the NFL draft needs to get here tomorrow because I want to drink some Kool-Aid. Like I was thinking about this yesterday. Like I would love to have a drink of. I have not had a drink out of my tub since the last Lions win.
You're like an
I would
addict.
hope so.
Dude,
I would hope so. I hope
I
you were
know.
just drinking out of that thing.
I want to. You guys, it's like one of those things where like you like walk behind the like my house here, and you'll be like, and it's just me like in the corner, like like drinking out of it.
Just
Like,
sneaking a cigarette.
Yeah. Well,
superstitions.
yeah,
man.
Booner, you're very superstitious.
I wore the same thing
100%.
every single game all year. I actually do have to get that sweatshirt and frame it because it was a hell of a year. Like it was a crazy good year. So I do have to frame that sweatshirt.
You probably wore the same outfit, didn't wash it at all year.
I washed it.
Okay, all right.
Washed it. I wore the same one. I want to get the sweatshirt framed. I'll have some people sign it. Maybe I can get Amon Ra to sign it, Dan to sign it, and then I can frame it. So
yeah, I can't wait, man. We'll be doing some stuff in a couple months here when the draft comes out. We'll be drinking some Kool-Aid. That'll be a
little tease.
But it is time. Like this is gonna be a segment we get to more often.
I just try to drink my water with the cap on.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Wow.
That ugly thing.
It's time.
It's a nice tie, Booner.
He took Jeff's tie for the night.
Yeah,
Hey, the Jeff shirt, can we address this real quick? Jeff is wearing a painter's shirt. Like that's what painters wear when they paint. Like Vincent Van Gogh over there. Like
what? I
think it's a nice jacket, Jeff.
No, it's not a jacket. It's just a button. It's just
a button up. It's literally those like black button ups.
Oh, that's not a jacket.
No,
that's
it's a button. Dude, it's literally those button ups that painters wear when they're making like
Booner,
like,
you might be onto
masterpieces.
something, Boone.
That
might
dude
be
is
onto
over there,
mob
Vincent
meeting
Van Gogh.
before the show.
Like did you guys go like
Hey, Jeff, you don't look bad. It doesn't mean it's bad.
looks good. I'm just I saw him
it's
wear it
just
a
what
couple
popped
weeks
in
ago.
your
And I
Hey,
thought
someone said I look like Dracula. It was kind of on point. Like I kind of look like I give it like vampire vibes with this thing on. But regardless, yeah, ETN says Jeff's dressed for a funeral. That's fair. Like I mean, that's fair. I can't argue.
He's got to go do a painting after this.
Yeah.
He's got to go
You look like the Undertaker.
paint like a naked lady or something.
No, what?
That's like what you look like. Like that's what those people wear. Like if you watch,
It is Valentine's Day. I mean, who knows what I'm doing after this, boys?
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
but I will. It is time. It is crunch time, but it also is time for our. We got a ball knower. Like, yeah, we're gonna be doing some draft content. Like, we're gonna be each bringing up guys, breaking guys down. But today specifically, Lucas brought somebody to the table. and he's going to give some insight on the man, the myth, the legend, the one they call Muhammad Kamara. From Big Mo. Is that what they call
Big
him?
Mo, I like
That's
that.
what we're going to call him, Big Mo.
He played at Colorado State. He's a defensive lineman, won Mountain West Defensive Player of the Mountain West football. Don't sleep on it.
Hey,
Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. He was first team All Mountain West, second team All Mountain West last year. And you look at just what he's done being at Colorado State. Like he's a big man, Lucas. That's the guy the Lions could use on the defensive line.
Yep. Mohamed Kamara. Hear the name now, recognize it later. When he goes flying up draft boards, when he goes after this combine, he shows out. He's a guaranteed at bare minimum day 2 pick. I think he falls in the second round. But you want to talk about a Dan Campbell, a Brad Holmes guy? Jeff, if you could, while we're doing this, go up on Twitter or go on YouTube and look up Mohamed Kamara highlights.
I'm on it.
And I want you to find when he chases a running back. This man's a defensive end, a big boy. He's like 6'1", I want to say around 230. Not the biggest guy in the world, but he's got a motor. He tracks a running back down 40 yards behind the play. And when I saw that, first play I saw, I was like, oh, I'm sold already. But then you get into this man, quick off the line of scrimmage. Again, he's 6'1", not the biggest defensive end coming off the line, but he knows how to use his leverage. He's a gritty guy that disrupts the passer rate. 13 sacks. He was top 5 in the nation this year in sacks for the NCAA. And the years before that, he had 7.5 and 8.5. This man is a problem. No issues off the field. Clean slate. He's all about ball, and he's only improved every year. He's going to make a difference in the passing game and in the run game for whatever team he goes to. This man is a stud, and I think he has the potential to be a day one, maybe week. I wouldn't say day one starter, but a year one starter for any team that he lands on. This man's ceiling is sky high. Look, high floor, high ceiling.
So we got the tape to back up what you're saying here. He
is a dog.
He heard Mel Kiper and he's like, you know what?
No, hey, I had this take out last week.
That's fair. You did. You
wait, we didn't see the chase down.
Why? I don't know if we could play the whole YouTube
When is it?
College football.
Well, to be honest, I think, Jeff, if we're being honest, we're way past that point. You usually get like 15 seconds. We're
we're going to get demonetized.
No, we're playing it. We're getting demonetized from the jump.
We already passed that point.
Yeah, like
let it ride.
2 seconds in, you're demonetized. So we'll
look at that. In the run game, you kidding me?
Hey, I mean, he can play both the run and rush the passer. He's a big man. I mean, he kind of sucks, Zach says.
No way.
No, hey, yeah, his tape ain't living up to the.
I mean, Lucas did a great job.
What are we talking about here?
Lucas did a great job.
He's on the interior right now. Splits a double team, gets the quarterback, gets the guard in his face too. He went through 3 linemen right there. What are we talking about?
I will say this:
does his size concern you? He looks a little small.
No, because he's explosive. He's explosive and uses his leverage.
Hey, I will say this, Lucas. I want to give you some more homework. I would like you to break down some of the plays where he doesn't get home. I would like to see what he does.
That's fair.
Because this is like a highlight tape. We can all be like, "Oh, dude, you look at this." But like, I would like to see.
But this man was top 5 in the nation in sacks.
That's fine. He's in the Mountain West, so like, I would like to see a full game. I would like to watch a full game.
Yeah, he's 6'1".
When you got him on our radar, you did what your job is. You got him on our radar. Now let's take that next step. What would Brad do? Brad wouldn't look at a highlight tape and be like, "This dude, he's gonna go watch the film."
ETN, dude. Man said he split through Easy and Spenny. Congrats. You want a cookie?
Hey, Spenny's the dog. Don't disrespect him.
Yeah, I know. That's not.
Dude, where is this play at?
I don't know. Let's just get off this.
That was abuse.
All right, that was fun. Awesome.
Yeah,
man.
now
Lucas cooked as always.
Everyone has homework now. Go watch a full game of him. Then we come back and reconvene and we can talk about it.
Rewatch a Mountain West game. What are you high?
I would do it.
Go load up the all 22.
I love watching college. I love watching college football.
Yeah, I love college football. I don't watch a lot of Mountain West. I mean, I
don't rewatch a lot of Mountain West.
Yeah, that's fair. The rewatch is key. Oh, jeez, man. Hey, listen, you pitched
Kalen
a good
Carson,
case,
I'm writing
Lucas.
that down.
I'm intrigued. That's all I got to say. You did a
lot
great
of
job.
NFL GMs will be as well.
And you have a tie on, so I feel like I have to take you more. I'm like, it's like this feeling. I'm like, I like trust what you're saying.
The
with,
tie and the stern talking really affects it. It really
like
makes it like
I'm sold.
You could sell me on like a guy that's going to go undrafted, and I with that tie on, I think
What
I'll
about
be
a
like,
Clayton Tune?
Dude, you tried last year. That's why. Okay, that's where we're.
That's okay, but that one
You have to go. You have to be spot on this year during the draft because last year you went all in on Clayton Tune, and that put your credibility from here to here. You have to get back to here this year. Like you had. This is a big draft for you. This is a big draft for you. This is big. You have to hit. You have to, because you said Clayton Tune was going to be great. You said CJ Stroud was going to be bad. Both happened opposites. So this is a big draft for you, Lucas. I'm challenging you.
Credibility's on the line, Booner. You're not wrong.
And to be fair, Clayton Tune's time might be coming. I'm not saying it.
You see that 2-point conversion he had this year?
But you
want to sleep on that, don't you?
Let's not start this.
I'm not going to gas him up. I'm not going to gas him up.
Let's not do it again. I'm not here for the Clayton Tune talk.
Yeah, this isn't.
CJ Stroud was a big miss, though.
Huge.
This isn't like Jordan Belfort on like Stratton Oakmont. Like this is like Lukas Klotz. Like this is real. Like he ain't trying to scam you. This ain't a pyramid scheme. Like he's got the tie on. Maybe
okay. What is it? No. This man went like 0-3 last year, and you're coming at me for my pyramid.
Hold on, he got LaPorta. It balances out.
I got LaPorta, I got Tank Dell, I got Josh Downs. I got tons of.
But what are we doing here? Coming at me? What is he coming at me for?
Booner didn't like the stray, Jeff.
He said it's not a pyramid scheme. Jordan Belfort's a pyramid scheme. You're the one that assumed he's talking about the Booner path being a pyramid scheme because you're just worried about it being a pyramid scheme.
No, I didn't even mean to do a stray. I was trying to stick up for Lucas. I'm just giving the man some love.
I thought it was a stray, Booner.
Thank you. Because Gentry, as soon as I saw Gentry go,
he's just stirring the pot.
He did it yesterday, and it got us going. Him and Lucas.
I know. Look at that guy. The mustache changed him. Like he's different.
He's not fully committed to the mustache.
Yeah. I'll bring it back tomorrow. I'll shave the beard.
Let's go.
That's fair. Alan says, watch Brad Holmes draft a wide receiver in the first round. Jesus.
Lad McConkey, bring him home. Bring him home.
Lad McConkey.
You laugh now. You laugh now.
I'm saying in the first round.
Everyone will laugh. But when he's a second round pick to the Kansas City Chiefs and he makes a crucial third down catch in the Super Bowl, the name Lad will be cheering somewhere in Arrowhead Stadium during their watch party.
Lucas, I would like to me and you go 50-50 on our Lad thing because I'm with you on that. When I saw Lad play at Georgia, I already knew he was going to be a dog. Yeah. That was why, remember when you texted the group, I said, Lucas, I know about this guy. You were like, sleeper. No, not a sleeper. First round draft pick. Lad
McConkey. And
I'd gladly take that L with you too.
Conk.
Someone commented, like, I forgot. I was reading some comments about because we hyped up Lad like last week. Remember we watched a little bit of his tape, and I'm like, ooh, I like his route running. Like he's got some things. But then someone commented, like, I was at the Senior Bowl or something like that, and he said Lad had trouble separating besides like those two clips, like that you guys saw. Like he actually kind of got locked up.
That's the thing, though. If you watch him at Georgia, though, he was good at Georgia too. He was very well known to be good at Georgia.
That's fair.
Listen, fair. I'm going to say what the elephant in the room is. You're not a white dude starting at Georgia, the predominant number one team in the SEC at wideout, not just at slot, at wideout, unless you got some sauce, okay? Lad McConkey has that sauce. He's got a bag.
Some sauce.
Hey, to that comment's point about the wide receiver, what if in this season going into the draft, Brad Holmes just totally pulls what he did last season where we have no idea. Like, obviously, we would hope he would address the defense and whatnot, but no one expected Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell back-to-back. Like, what if he gets or drafts two positions or one position that is just totally out of the norm that we're not expecting? Like, yeah. Like, no one expected Jack Campbell that early or Jahmyr Gibbs for that point. Like, what if he does it again? Like,
Gentry's right. He probably does do that. Remember when he said he does his big board? He doesn't do by, like, needs or anything. He just goes, big board, what I like. He said Sam LaPorta was at the top of his big board.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with, like, his needs or anything. It was just he was one of the dudes that I really liked, and I want him on my team. So he is that type of guy to where he knows he has some needs.
Bro, if they traded up in the first, if they took Lad at 20. Even I would be pissed.
What would you do with the? Yeah,
If they took him in the
I wouldn't.
second, I'd still be like, ooh, but like he's not going to fall outside the second round. He'll be a second round pick for sure.
Oh,
but don't address wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, man. If he does, again, I'll shut up and I'll be like, Brad's right. But just as of right now, it seems like that gut punch pick.
Is there one wide receiver that you would be okay with that first round pick?
For being
Marvin
honest,
Well,
I mean, if at that spot, I wouldn't be furious about Keon Coleman. I wouldn't be furious.
I can see it.
I'm not pounding the table for it.
I don't want one, but
if you drafted one, like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like unless he's like, I mean, God, if the guy comes out like Brad proves us all wrong and he's an elite wide receiver year 1, like, okay, then I'll eat my words. But like, I'd be disappointed. I'd be like, dang, like
another lesson.
Yeah, like I got to learn another lesson, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Which not about learning. Jack Campbell, that's fair because I kind of slept on Jack a little bit. I wasn't sure, and I think he'll be a good player. But yeah, I think if it was a wide receiver, I don't know. I could take a guard. Like if it was like a guard, I'd be like, but if he's like Jackson Powers Johnson, like a versatile guy, if you trade up and get him, I'd be like, cool. I'd be fine with that. Like I wouldn't mind it. If you took a corner, defensive lineman, I don't know what position you could say like would surprise. Like what do you guys think? Like what would be? I guess it would be wide receiver, right? Like any other position. I think
in the first round.
Yeah. Like besides
linebacker, I would be furious.
Yeah, I was gonna say
an inside linebacker. Outside linebacker, I wouldn't give a fuck. But inside linebacker would blow my mind.
Or like tight end or something.
They trade up for Brock Bowers. That'd be disgusting.
Sam and Brock just tearing the league up.
That'd be insane.
What if they just traded up and got a quarterback? Went and got like JJ McCarthy.
Dude.
Okay, we have every right to be mad. Like at that point, yeah.
I'm storming the field. As a Michigan fan, I would be fucking furious.
As a part of the leader of the Booner path, we are all in on whatever Brad Holmes does this year. I am locking it in. I don't care what he does. If he goes quarterback, running back, lineman, safety, if he trades every single pick and doesn't even draft,
but
we
Booner,
are all in. I trust everything about Brad Holmes.
It's the Booner path, not the Brad path. You got to lead the people on some of those too. You're gonna miss.
This is what I've told the people. This is what I've told the people.
Don't wave that pen in my face.
This is what I've told the people. I've looked the people in the eyes. All right. I'll put that down. I got a new one. I've looked the people in their eyes and I said, after last year, what Brad did and what he did with that draft class, and everyone was very disappointed, but then this draft class became one of the best of all time. This year, no matter, I said this like a month ago, no matter what happens, I'm going to trust Brad. I don't care who he picks, what he does, the moves he makes. He has gone 3 for 3 in NFL drafts. There is no reason that we should like question anything he does until he gives us a reason to. And that's where I'm at with it.
JJ McCarthy gives me reason to question.
Yeah, like I have to.
All right, yeah, you're right, JJ. Yeah, I'd be like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing? Come on now. I love JJ, but
outside of a quarterback, if he goes receiver, running, whatever he does, or outside running, if he goes receiver, if he goes line, like whatever he does, I trust this man. I will stand with whatever he does.
I don't know, Boone. That sounds like some real vice president energy. like whatever Brad does, I'll stand with him.
To be honest, I'm the president. Brad is our god. So.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Hold on.
Easy.
Hold on. All right.
Booner's like, what did I just do wrong?
Yeah, what did I do wrong? Was that a problem?
No, you're fine, Brad is an absolute stud, man. Like people should have like a level of like confidence when he's taking players, but like I will never, no human being will ever be absolved from any doubt like that. That doesn't exist in my world. Yeah, like that doesn't exist. Everybody's open. He's a human being. Like he's gonna make mistakes. Dan Campbell, same thing. He's gonna make mistakes. Players are gonna make mistakes, and I'm gonna talk about it. So, and I'm gonna give my opinion whether I think it's a mistake or not. So I get what you're saying, Boone, but Brad Holmes is human, man. Like if you pick somebody and I don't like them, I'm gonna go on this show and say I don't like it. I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna be like I trust Brad no matter what it is. Like
I will do that. I will say whether I like it or not. But then what I'll do at the end is I'll say, but I trust Brad. I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. Like, hey, I question this a little bit, but guess what? Even though I question it,
that's fair.
I trust Brad. Whatever he has something in mind with this player, I trust him. I might question it, but he has a vision.
Was that not like the same vibe everyone had with Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell? Even
I think
no one really wanted it.
No, it was not.
Well, I mean, maybe not Jahmyr Gibbs, but like Jack Campbell. Like I think there was a lot of people that had that same vibe. Were like, man, I don't know if I like a linebacker at that spot, but at the end of the day, I trust Brad and his evaluating process. So
I don't think so, man. I thought he caught a lot of flack, and he would not have been at that podium answering the way he was after the NFC Championship game if there wasn't. I think a lot of people scrutinized him and saying like, oh, you got a little momentum, but now you're going back to the same old lines by making picks like this. And even in the major media outside of like the Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky's of the world, they're like, what are the Lions doing? They're like, this doesn't make any sense. You have Swift, you have David Montgomery. Why do you need Jahmyr Gibbs? Why are you taking a linebacker 18th overall when you could have got him in the second round? Now, hindsight, neither of those things probably would have happened, especially with Jahmyr Gibbs getting in the second round. But
right,
I think Brad caught a lot of flack.
Well,
outside of the national media, though, did you trust him on those picks? Like, what were your thoughts?
I trusted him 100% on Gibbs. I'm not going to lie. It took me until like a little bit before the preseason to be all in on Jack Campbell. Just because I was worried about the interior of the defensive line but I was like, you know what? That can help in the run game. And he did. But I mean, I'm all in on Campbell now, obviously. It's not like I was ever all out, but I was definitely questioning Campbell heading into the season.
Which is,
I'm just being honest.
And to Mike's point, kind of like, I think the big thing with like the draft was like had to be Jalen Carter, right? That's why people were frustrated like that because of what they could have got. Like maybe that because I remember doing the morning show and it was just constantly the Jalen Carter. We could have Jalen Carter. Like that was like the biggest frustration with people. But I think people are over it now. I mean, they're cool.
I don't even think
Yeah. What?
I wasn't like I think me and Lucas were pretty similar page when it came to the draft last year. Like, yeah, but you would have liked a Jalen Carter, but I think like what happened, I just remember the draft going down when we were at Fifth Ave and looking at each other. We did socials. We looked at each other. With Brad just got a dog.
I remember when we were doing it because you had the alerts up early. You got it before me, and you're like Lucas. And I was like, what? You're like, you will literally never guess who this pick is. I was like, sorry. I was like. Again, I remember like I had a weird feeling that the Lions could possibly get JSN. I was like, it's JSN. And he was like, no. I was like, and then he was like, it's Jahmyr Gibbs. I was like, ooh. I was like, I kind of like that. And then
we started clipping film.
I like it.
Yeah, we started clipping film and posting it. We were like, okay, he got a dog. And then like it just kept getting better, like it's just Jack Campbell. And the people were like, and then we clipped some film and we were like, okay, Jack Campbell, here we go, boys.
Yeah, and it took it like I again, it goes back to the point of like we have to watch. And I said this, and I went back and I go back and watch like my takes back when the draft happened because I'm curious. I'm like, what was I at when this initially happened? I was doing that the other day actually, and like at the end of the day, like whether you like the pick or not, you have to see these guys play football. That's what matters. Like put pads on and play football. And I think Gibbs definitely helped with that, with seeing him play. Then I'm like, well, because that's why I brought up the Zeke thing. Like, if you get 5 years of great productivity, like, I'll take that. Like, he's already the best rookie running back. He was the best rookie running back this year statistically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I get that. But anyway, let's get to Mailbag. So
Mailbag, baby.
Get your questions, concerns, whatever it is. Drop those, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. Zach says, if Lions had Jonah and Ragnar healthy all year, I think they would have won more games and made the Super Bowl. Well, I don't think Jonah's absence was the reason they threw a 17-point lead, but
that actually isn't talked about enough, though. Like, he was out in the 49ers game. I wonder if that had anything to do with the kind of the second half with the offense kind of coming to a halt. I'm not saying it is. I'm just like, no one talked about that. That was kind of
they slump in the third quarter with Jonah. You know what I mean?
Fair.
I think that game was inevitable with the way that the Lions are playing.
Hey, Lucas, that is very fair,
I don't
brother.
know if it would have changed much.
Yeah, I mean, would they be better? Yes, but like guys, it's not like inserting Jonah would have prevented a 16 or 17-point halftime lead.
Yeah.
Like Gibbs fumbled, the fourth down decisions, Josh dropping the ball. Like there's so much. Like regardless. All right. First question, Eduardo Mailbag. Can we get more Gentry? I feel like he's just modeling there. Oh yeah, he's a good looking dude.
He is, and he's gonna have the mustache tomorrow.
Yeah, I do. And I don't know. It's just my experience with the media. I never jump over and talk to anyone. I'll always get my point across, but I'm just never going to speak over anyone. And it's not anything against anyone. We do a fine show here, and I love how it's ran. So I'll always get my point in, but that may be the reason. I don't like to yell over people. It ain't me.
Yeah, Mike is like, when he speaks, everyone just like, what's Mike about to say? Like, he,
like when Mike starts
lock
talking,
in.
we all get quiet.
yeah, like, Mike, it's the man of few words, but when he speaks, it's like,
It's just when you're a reporter covering a team, you're sitting in that media room. It's kind of like it goes question to question to question to question. So that's kind of just how I'm trained. So
and I think too, like on our show too, I think, and it's like every like show that you see out there, everyone has different people who contribute different ways. Like everyone has different personalities and way that they contribute.
Me and Booner are not the same by any means.
No.
Booner is crazy as hell, and I'm not.
Yep.
Gentry doesn't have a pyramid scheme going. He would never.
No. But I'm on the Booner path, and in the Booner
Get
path
yourself a mustache
is not
and get
pyramid
yourself a
scheme.
mullet.
Come on.
I almost want to make a mullet like you have to have one to be on the Booner path. No, I'm just kidding. I can't do that, boys. Can't do that.
You would never catch me with a mullet a day in my life.
Dude, they're nice, man.
look at this. King Horse Mailbag. How many more miles before Iafrate gets his hair oil changed? Hey, we're doing pretty good right now, King Horse. I'm good.
What a comment. Man has to go to Pennzoil every month.
Jeff, your hair has been steady getting cooked for like 3.5 years now.
Hey, you know what time it is?
It's on a great run.
The comment
It's a
yesterday.
respectable run.
The comment yesterday that Jeff's hair is on crooked is just unbelievable.
Hey, sometimes it's you know, I was gifted, I was blessed with a good head of hair. So if you want to roast it, go ahead. Hey, I'm cool.
Man.
I'm chilling.
And he stood on business and got a cut when he took an L. He stood on business, so you gotta respect that.
It took D-Mac talking to me, but yeah, I stood on business. But he was right. I mean, the point D-Mac made. I don't think I've ever shared that story either, to be honest with you. Because now that we have our own platform, I can share stories and talk about it.
Eduardo, I do wear a hat too, by the way, all the time.
It's funny when the Michigan lost, and I realized it. Like I was like, oh shit! Like I'm gonna have to shave my head. Like it like hit me. I'm like, oh no, they lost to TCU out of all teams. Like that was like the worst feeling in the world. So I go do the show. I go do the show, and I'm like, I'm gonna see if people like notice or remember. Like I'm gonna see if they notice or remember. In the chat, you guys, man, that's why I love the chat. You guys hold me accountable. And the chat was like, no, you got to shave that dome. Like, when is it happening? So the next day, I'm like, man, I don't want to shave my head. Like, I'm like, I haven't had short hair since I was like, a kid, like a young kid. So I'm like, damn. And the second day goes by, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Like, I start getting butthurt. I'm like, I don't want to shave my head. And then D-Mac came up to me. He goes, Jeff, let me talk to you for a second. Let me talk to you. So I'm like, all right, what's up, D-Mac? He goes, listen, man, like I get it. It sucks. You got to shave your head. Like it stinks, but you said this, like, and I'm like, damn, you're right. Like he was like the administrator of accountability. He's like, dude, he's like, your credibility, you're very credible. You've always been that way. He's like, don't hurt it. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. I'm like, I want people to trust what I say. If I say something, I'll stand on it. I've always been like that. But with the hair thing, I'm like, no, I don't want to shave my head. So I'm like, you know what, D-Mac, you're right. I shaved my head that day, dude. And I have a picture of I still have it on my phone. I saw it the other day. I almost shit my pants looking at the photo. I'm like, who is this man? I
have the video of you actually getting your hair cut.
That was like one of my first days. I had to sit there and record it for socials. You were so mad. You were so mad.
And Jeff too, like looking back at it, I'm sure you think this now, like, and I was thinking about this today, like, dude, you can do whatever you want with your hair. Like it always grows back. Like, I was thinking about like, I literally, like, I would never get a mullet in my life, and all of you guys convinced me to get one for like no reason. Like it's just, you can always change your hair, dude. I'm glad.
Speaking of it, show it off real quick, Boone. Show it off.
Yeah, you got that mullet. Look,
I heard you got a cut too.
Got a haircut today, boys. Got a little
Let's
fade.
see it. Let's see it. Turn to the side. Yeah, there you go. There it is.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Other side, other side. Yep. Yeah, Boone.
How does it look, boys?
It's looking good, Boone. It's looking good, Boone.
The only problem is I can't see it. I can't see it myself.
Hey,
that's the
good,
problem.
Boone.
Coach Walk said next time get a face tattoo, Jeff. I you know what? I'll never get a face tattoo. I'll never get a face.
Show it, Jeff.
I'm not showing my tattoo. No, we're
Show
not
the
doing that.
tattoo, man.
We're not.
Do
no,
it. Do it.
Chat, drop. Show the tattoo in the chat.
No, why are we doing that?
Hey,
Show
thank you,
it.
Mike G. Is there any more mailbag questions too? I feel like we haven't done a mailbag question.
Someone
yet.
asked, and it was J2 Detroit. He asked if the Super Bowl will ever be held in another country. I'm pretty sure that was him, but I doubt it.
I do not think so. And you know what? Real quick about the Super Bowl, from what I'm hearing, a lot of people like the Vegas Super Bowl and want that back. I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being a thing. Like that they go to Vegas every
They're
once
going
in
to
a while.
Miami too. They'll go to Miami for sure. Miami has a Super Bowl in a minute.
It hasn't, but like a lot of people like Travis Kelce on his podcast today was like they should just have it there every year. Like he was like it was perfect in Vegas. Like it should just be at Vegas every season. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up getting in the rotation to where it's like every other year it's Vegas.
That'd be
like
dumb.
It would be dumb, but like the way it went this year, like all the content, everything they got out of it, the NFL, like it was Vegas is like a perfect spot for an event like that.
They should play it in the Sphere.
Yeah, the Sphere, man. Like, hey,
we should take a crunch time trip to the Sphere.
Hey, Uncle Dana's he's gonna do some UFC fights in that Sphere. Yeah,
is he really?
Awesome.
Yeah, he said he wants.
That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
it's like imagine just the whole thing, just like a projected image of or video of the fight. That'd be wild,
dude. It'd be crazy. Yeah, there was a dude that climbed up that thing, right? Like some crackhead or something.
No, not a crackhead. It was like he did it for like a good cause. I think he like had a cause.
Jesus. Jeff labeled him a crackhead off rip. He was doing it for charity.
That was bad, Jeff. That was bad.
God damn it, Jeff.
Jeff hates when people do good things that aren't for him.
This dude literally just said a crackhead. Like, that is nuts.
Why are you doing that?
That is crazy. You just called him a crackhead.
I don't know what he's doing. I would think a crackhead.
You just assume he's a crackhead because he would climb up that.
Yeah,
that's an athlete, Jeff. That's an athlete. That's not on crack. He's probably clean. You just put that narrative on him. Maybe you're the crackhead, pal. Look in the mirror.
Yeah, he's clean, all right. He definitely cleaned up that line of cocaine on the desk before he went up there, bro. Because that dude, there's no way in hell any man sober is climbing the Sphere.
Oh, dude, that was funny, man.
Did he have equipment or some shit, or did he just climb up there?
No, he had nothing to tap. He just went and climbed.
There's no way.
Jeff, your last point definitely spot on then. Maybe not crack, but freebase.
Yeah, there was like a some type of like charity or something that he wanted to like bring awareness to or something. I don't know. People do that all the time.
I'm just scaling at the top.
Bro is from Toledo.
Weekend trip.
You would be crazy enough to climb that shit, dude. I feel like
I could see Lucas doing some shit.
It would be Lucas, dude, for sure.
Lucas is.
Wouldn't even the thing with Lucas too is he wouldn't even tell anyone. He would just do it, and then he would come back. He would come back and be like, boys, and he would be like dripping sweat. I just climbed the Sphere, man. Like we're in Vegas for like a show or something. And he's like, I just climbed the Sphere.
You'd be like, I'm built different. And be flexing at us,
barking up the whole
time. Yeah, now that is a crackhead climbing the Sphere, barking. That's a crackhead. That's a great.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, crack, there's something wrong with. Nothing wrong with a little bark.
Because that's from Toledo.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, I'll tell you what else. There's nothing wrong with this show either.
All right, real quick too. By the way, one more. I'm gonna throw this out there again. I'm a Travis Kelce fan. I texted you guys the other day, and I gave you guys my list of favorite players in the NFL. The Kelce brothers are now in my top 5.
Yeah, I don't think they're unlikable.
They're in my top 5.
I like Jason a lot too.
Pfizer boy.
I don't even care, dude. They're in my top 5.
Rodgers beef with him.
You got a bag though. I mean, hell.
He definitely got paid from that.
It's Josh Allen, the Kelce brothers, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
Derrick Henry, dude.
But regardless, appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. Gentry will not be here. Unfortunately, he's got to attend to some other responsibilities, but he'll be back Friday, of course, and we'll have a good show planned for you guys then. So until tomorrow, we appreciate you guys. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, like I always say, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, the members, the donations, regardless, anything. We appreciate. And if you're on Facebook, like the Facebook page. Follow us on all social media at official CT Pod.
Take a look at that crackhead
on TikTok. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Love you guys.
Have a good night.